I don't know. I just remember thinking that like getting the shot your day and day after were going to be way worse on Johnson and Johnson, and that's why I was happy I got Pfizer. That's all. I'll listen to you guys fight about it.
Definitely. She's not responding to me on Discord. Ever since I told her I was never voting for Trump, stopped responding to all my DMs. Remember this testing? Jay was like, Jay was 60% effective, the other 90. Yeah. Also, I'm curious, what do conservatives think everybody meant when they said flatten the curve? What do they think that was referring to? I think people are incapable of comprehending partially effective vaccines. Yeah, I'm trying to think for that too. I think the main reason is because some diseases don't change much, so your immune system will always remember. But apparently other diseases change a lot. But like, is that true for tetanus? I'm trying to think of your immune system remembers some things forever. People are saying that it's for a good or bad vaccine, but I don't think it has anything to do with the vaccine. I think it has to do with the disease, right? So like, if you get the measles vaccine, I don't think you'll get measles. But if you get measles, I don't think you get measles again, right? Isn't that a disease you get once? So it's not really, but okay.
I think you can get it. I think you can get it again. Actually, measles. It's just unlikely, I believe.
Well,
like,
that's the same thing with the vaccine too.
Or something? Right?
No, shingles. I think is when you get. That's when you get chicken pox the second time. I think. Oh no, that's when you get chicken pox for the first time as an adult, isn't it? That's why people like to get chicken pox. They do the chicken pox parties as kids, and you get chicken pox as a child. Measles doesn't mutate as quick as the flu or COVID. Yeah, that's my understanding. All immunities wane, but some wane faster than others. I don't know if that's true. I don't. Okay. Oof. Listen, this guy's coming. Okay, we're testing the.
Make sure you preface your statements.
I won't preface.
Say the line with your understanding.
I think your body has two ways, I think, of fighting infections broadly, I think. When you get infected by a thing, the bad guy comes in, and then your body sees the bad guy, it like fucks it, and then it comes back with a perfectly shaped dick for your vagina thing to blah, 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 blah. Your immune system, I think, it's got two huge ways of remembering, I think, the infection. So one is, I think your body produces antibodies that plug into the virus and kill it, or bacteria and kill it in the best way. And after you're sick, for some number of months, a whole bunch of these antibodies will still be floating around in your body. But, so if you get sick again, and the virus or bacteria, whatever pathogen comes in, the antibodies will go and kill it. It's just fucked completely. But antibodies don't last forever. In the beginning of the COVID stuff, people would look at the vaccines and they'd be like, oh my God, 6 to 8 months later, you don't have any antibodies left. Like, oh, it's totally fucking worthless. We were scammed. But antibodies always fade away. They don't last forever. But your body has, I don't remember what they're called, memory B cells. Your body has memory cells to where if you get infected again, it's able to recreate those antibodies way quicker in the future. Antibodies will always fade away, I believe, months after the infection. Some number of months is measured. While you have antibodies present, you can kill stuff really quick so you don't even get sick. But I think you always have, I think, some kind of memory cell that will remember the thing. But the problem is that for some viruses, like I believe influenza, the types of changes that the virus makes make it such that your immune system just doesn't recognize it ever. Like once it's mutated, it's like a whole different thing. If you have, obviously it's more complicated than this, but I think if you've got a virus, you'll have like two parts maybe. You have like the part here is what fucks your body up, and the part here might be like another mechanism by which it either locks into a cell or it does whatever. Sometimes when viruses mutate, because I think everything generally mutates, it's just like a rule of thumb, things tend to change around a little bit. Sometimes only these parts will mutate, the parts that might cause damage or the parts that infect your body quicker or whatever, but the proteins that are involved in identification don't change ever, or very, very, very rarely they change. I think this is the case with things like measles, to where it might mutate a little bit, but the fundamental proteins involved with identifying measles are basically always the same. So if you get infected once, your body's always going to remember that infection. But I think for things like influenza, the types of mutations that happen affect the surface where your body would identify it and the way that it spreads through your body and everything. So if you get infected with a different strain of the flu, you could have had 1,000 flu infections in the past, and it will confer absolutely zero immunity onto you for the next version of the flu if it mutates in such a way that your body just doesn't recognize it anymore. Pseudo-intellectual. What did I just say that was wrong? I remember hearing around that time that Pfizer would last longer than J&J and you wouldn't need a booster as soon. That might have been true for Pfizer, but if that was true, it's probably just because the dose was bigger and it was a series, because I think you got it 2 weeks later. But I believe that, my understanding is that by the end of all of it, roughly the mRNA vaccines and like natural immunity had about the same protection from a future virus and the antibodies lasted about as long as each other, I believe. Where do you draw the line or balance debating its effectiveness and whether its effectiveness is worth infringing on the rights of people not wanting to take it? That's a really hard one. I don't know. That's a really difficult question. The thing is that like everybody, I don't believe this is a principled stance. I think that this is a utilitarian stance for everybody. I think that people won't acknowledge that, but for instance, if I could conceive of a virus that has a 95% kill rate that lays dormant for 10 weeks in the human body, but is still infectious in that time period, everybody would say, well, you gotta get a vaccine or we're gonna kill you. We will literally kill you if you do not get vaccinated. You're not allowed in here, because I'm not gonna have a dormant virus that kills me in 10 weeks. Fuck you, okay? Everybody would be pro-vaccine. Like pro-vaccine mandates under threat of murder from the government. I think everybody would say yeah. But if there was a virus that had like a 0.001% like serious illness rate, and you just went to the hospital, and then when you were in the hospital had like a 1% kill rate, nobody would be in favor of a forced like at gunpoint mandate. So I think that when we talk about mandating vaccines, it has to be a balance between. There's 3 things you have to balance for intelligent people. The balance is between the effectiveness of the vaccine, meaning how likely is it to either reduce the likelihood of getting infected or reduce the likelihood of serious symptoms. And then the second thing is balancing that with side effects. What are the side effects and how likely are those side effects? And then there's a third thing for conservatives, which is like bodily autonomy or some autistic shit that you have to balance for political reasons. But those are like the two really the huge things that you're trying to balance when you're thinking about like a mandate for a vaccine. Bivalent booster. They were talking about that in 2022. How do you feel about the CDC loosening mandates and COVID disappearing from the media in general? Well, I mean, once we were like 6 to 12 months into the pandemic, I think that's kind of what everybody thought. It was like, now it's going to be, what is it called? Is it endemic at that point? It's just a virus we have to live with forever. I mean, that's what happens at some point. But like, it mutated such to a point to where it's not like as horrible anymore. So, yeah. There's very few deaths now. Are there? Isn't it still more than the? Isn't it still more than like the highest flu seasons? Hold on. I'm gonna gut this and then we'll Google. I thought it was still around like projected in around like 50 to 100,000 a year. And bad flu seasons were like 60,000. But I'll check. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's gotten less than that. COVID deaths tracker USA. About the inverse moral conflict like The Last of Us, one is the ability to the world and make vaccines and kill them. Honestly, I think that's Joel was probably morally in the wrong. Although I think they cuck out in either The Last of Us 2 or in the show. I think it was in The Last of Us 2 they cuck out, and they say that like, oh no, they tried this surgery in the past and it didn't work, so it probably wouldn't work with Ellie or something. What am I looking for? Where the fuck? I'm looking for numbers. Some people will bring the antibody enhancement up. You should look this one up and have a counter argument ready. Are you talking about antibody, ADE, antibody dependent enhancement? Yeah, no, vaccines are already tested for this. It's not a thing that we really worry about. That was just one thing that a conservative stumbled upon and started to spread that theory that this would happen, but it's just, we test for that in vaccines. The antibody-dependent enhancement is, I guess if your parents bring this up. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how this works. I think the way your immune system fights against the SARS-CoV-2 virus, I think what happens is there's like it's called the spike protein. This is the protein that is able to fuck one of your cells. There's a surface of the cell that has a protein that allows, is it ACE2, I think? I don't remember. I'm writing random shit here. I don't know if it's right or not. But basically there's a protein here that allows it to plug into the cell because the cell sees this protein and is like, oh, cool, a friendly dude, come bang. And then once it gets in here, it splurges its load inside the cell, and then it starts manufacturing more of the virus. I think what your antibodies are supposed to do is, I think your antibodies are supposed to plug into a part of the virus. I think it's the spike protein. And once they plug in, you can't do anything because the antibody isn't going to produce any virus because it's just an antibody. It's not like a full cell with like the ribosomes and production facilities. So it just floats there until, I think once an antibody attaches, I think it's macrophages. You've got huge, like disgusting vacuum cleaner dudes that come and eat everything that has like one of those guys attached to it. But I think that if you have an antibody that's stuck to the virus, if you've got an antibody that's stuck to the virus, then the virus shouldn't be able to infect a cell, and then it's marked for deletion from the macrophages. But I think that there's an esoteric thing that can happen if you fuck up really bad called antibody-dependent enhancement. And this is like a really bad thing where you get a virus and you create something, or your body creates it, or a vaccine might do this incorrectly. And what happens is you find a way to plug into that virus, but you don't actually block the virus from attaching to a cell. You just block it from being seen by your immune system. So now what you've done is the antibodies of your body are plugging into it, and they're shielding it from your immune system, and they're letting it roam carte blanche through your body. And now you've actually enhanced the infection, the pathogen, because it could be bacterial or viral, I think. You've enhanced the infection now with your antibodies, and now you're fucked because whenever your guy's attached to it, now it's like shielded from your immune system, and it goes around and it moves with impunity through your body. It's not good. But ADE is something that is that's tested for when you're creating vaccines to make sure that interaction is not happening. Why the fuck? Or what's worse is the virus hijacking the antibodies to factorial out more viruses. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if antibodies have human antibody.
Alright, this is boring.
Love you. Dude, what is an antibody cell? An antibody, or what? Antibodies make anything? Why do so many plumbers, welders, typical masculine tradespeople claim they're capable of making 100K a year when the only people in the trades that make that much are really small business owners and higher tradespeople? Because they call themselves still like plumbers and shit. Like they'll say, oh, like my uncle's a plumber, he makes $250,000 a year. He probably started as a plumber, and then he started as a plumber, and then he started hiring other plumbers and working in business, and now he's a business owner because he calls himself a plumber. Antibodies are just proteins. Yeah, I don't think an antibody is a full cell. I don't think an antibody can create anything. I think to create stuff, I think it has to be a ribosome. Ribosomes, I think, are the only thing in the human body that can make proteins, right? Am I wrong on that? Anything else create a protein? T cells produce antibodies which bind pathogens and marked for destruction by other immune cells. T cells kill infected host cells, or help B cells produce more antibodies. What about mitochondria? produce things? I don't think they produce anything. I'm pretty sure ribosomes are the only things that can make proteins in the body, I think. No, vaccines don't reduce all diseases to 0. Why the fuck do you think we have a yearly flu shot? The reason why you get a yearly flu shot is because it's really a different thing. Influenza is like a class of things. Are they coronaviruses or is that just the cold? When you get flu shots every year, you're not getting booster shots for the same thing. You are, you're getting, it's for different strains of the flu. Different diseases. Oh, hold on one second. The AD argument was only if you mandate a vaccine that doesn't confer total immunity, only partial. You run the risk of encouraging ADEs on a population level. I don't think that's true. If you only get partial immunity, you run the risk of encouraging ADEs on a population level. I've never heard that before. Maybe that is a thing and I just haven't heard of it. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about this. Given you're right about the contractors most of the time, you're still wrong. I have a friend in commercial refrigeration that can clear 160-ish a year. Let's bet you like that. If he does, he's a massive outlier. I can look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and tell you what they make on average. Your friend is either a massive outlier or some people that work trades love to work and they'll work a fuck ton. If your friend makes that much, he might be working like 90 hours a week. Or he sells jobs illegally as an individual independent of his company. Flu shots contain vaccines for several strains that they guessed was predominant this year. Yeah. But it's not the same flu. It's not like I don't think you would consider your flu shots every. I don't think you would call those booster shots, right? But if you're uncertain about the vaccine's effectiveness in real time, how can we make a judgment on whether to limit individuals' rights in real time practically? Here's the problem, okay? This is what conservatives won't acknowledge. Drives me crazy. Giving a vaccine, you're not thinking about whether or not is the vaccine effective or is it harmful. That's not the thought. People think that's what you're thinking about. That's not at all the thought. The thought is it's not the vaccine competing against no vaccine. It's the vaccine competing against the disease. That's the question. You could theoretically manufacture a vaccine with a 50% fatality rate, and you could make a strong argument for mandating that at point of death to a population. You have to take this vaccine, even though it's got a 50% chance of killing you. Because maybe there's a disease circulating right now that has a 99% chance of killing you with an R0 of 5,000. It infects every single person you even lay eyes on, right? That's theoretically possible. When you're creating a vaccine, you're not trying to measure the effectiveness of the vaccine efficacy versus side effects if you want to do it. It's versus the potential disease as well. That's what you're racing against. That's what you're fighting. Yeah. Open letter written by this guy in March. In this open letter, I'm appealing to the WHO and all stakeholders involved, no matter their conviction, to immediately declare such actions as the single most important public health emergency of international concern. I'm all but an anti-vaxxer. Oh boy. So, this guy, he's not a, wait, is he actually a PhD? Interesting. The writing on this is just written very, feels like a high school writing. Just in the first two sentences, I'm sorry, it's just the vibe I get, but okay. Usually PhDs do it, that's kind of writing, regardless of what they're in, but I am all about an anti-vaxxer. As a scientist, I do not usually appeal to any platform of this kind to make a stand on vaccine-related topics. As a dedicated virologist and vaccine expert, I only make an exception when health... Hold on, wait. What is this guy's background? Is this guy anything? My skepticism is off the charts right now. Belgian veterinarian virologist, self-declared specialist in the field of RNA vaccines, and independent researcher and advisor. Independent researcher and advisor. Oh, shit. Wait, I'm just gonna call her over. Hello? Hello, hello? You're talking, I cannot hear you. Oh, sometimes on the phone Discord you gotta leave and rejoin. Hello, hello?
Hello?
Hi, I can hear you. Okay, wait, I'm just curious. Just a random question, okay? Real quick, you have no idea what I'm about to ask you, right? I didn't say anything in Discord or anything like that, right?
Well, how could I have known? You haven't messaged me in like 2
Okay,
years.
shut up. Okay, it hasn't been 2 years. It's been like 4 months, okay?
It's like 1 year. Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Okay, I'm just curious. Do you remember at the start of the pandemic, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember when people were talking about getting vaccinated, and remember how there was like all the jokes going around? You're like, oh, did you get the Pfizer or the Moderna or the J&J? Why? What were the differences between those like 3 shots? Why were people joking about them?
I felt like the joke was like, oh, which vaccination did you get? Like a starter Pokemon, like did you pick Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur?
Yeah, but do you remember? Were some people saying some were better or worse, and why?
I don't remember, sorry.
Oh my god.
I literally don't remember.
Whatever.
Why? Wait, was they not? Sorry. Do you want me to? You can privately message me in Discord and I'll say it so you can set up your joke on stream.
No, it's not a joke.
Okay, then what was it?
Hold on. Okay, I didn't type anything to you, but do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah. Well, oh, actually, now that you mention it, I do remember that people preferred the mRNA vaccines because they had a higher efficacy than the J&J ones.
Yep. Oh, thank you, Lily. I'm so glad you remember that. Thank you. That's all I needed. Okay, cool. Well, hey,
See you in a
have fun
year.
hanging
Bye.
out. Yep, bye. See, there you go. Let me get a Red Bull one. Was getting the J&J because in a third world country and easy access okay? I mean, there's nothing bad with it. It was just, they were just different, you know. Whatever. Okay. This guy. Oh, actually, you know what? If English isn't his first language, that would actually explain why the writing looks like this. That's possible, actually. So maybe that explains why it looks weird like this. But I remember seeing scenes in Asia of people lining up for the Pfizer vaccine, like it was midnight release of the Xbox 360. I could be wrong. I had somebody email me this, and I didn't fact check it, so careful, low conviction. Somebody told me that China doesn't actually like the mRNA vaccines. For whatever reason, they didn't want to use them, and they produced their own. And the one that they produced is actually pretty dog shit. And as a result, they've had to do more lockdowns and more mandates of like public health stuff because the efficacy of their vaccines is not very high. I don't know if that's true or not. I had somebody email me that, but I have one guy in chat just said, that's true. And underneath he said, not true. So there you go. As a dedicated virologist and vaccine expert, I only make an exception when health authorities allow vaccines to be administered in ways that threaten public health, most certainly when scientific evidence is being ignored. The present Okay, the typos too. Okay. They present extremely critical situation. Oh, no, it's not a typo, sorry. The present, it's just written horribly. The present extremely critical situation forces me to spread this emergency call. As the unprecedented extent of human intervention in the COVID-19 pandemic is now at risk of resulting in a global catastrophe without equal, this call cannot sound loudly and strongly enough. As stated, I am not against vaccination. On the contrary, bro, why do you keep saying this? On the contrary, I can assure you that each of the current vaccines have been designed, developed, and manufactured by brilliant and competent scientists. However, this type of prophylactic vaccines are completely inappropriate and even highly dangerous when used in mass vaccination campaigns against or during a viral pandemic. Wait, aren't most vaccines prophylactic? Isn't that the point? Or is he just saying he was just putting an extra word in there, I guess? I don't know. Vaccinologists, scientists, and clinicians are blinded by the positive short-term effects in individual patients. But don't seem to bother about the disastrous consequences for global health. Unless I am scientifically proven wrong, it is difficult to understand how current human interventions will prevent circulating variants from turning into a wild monster. Racing against the clock, I am completing my scientific manuscript, the publication of which is unfortunately likely to come too late given the ever-increasing threat from rapidly spreading, highly infectious variants. This is why I decided to already post a summary of my findings as well as my keynote speech at the recent vaccine summit in Ohio on LinkedIn. Last Monday, I provided international health organizations with the WHO with my analysis of their pandemics based on scientific and it's not as fair. I have not received any feedback thus far. Experts publishing remain silent while obviously still Wait, so what was the point of this? Please read and share. Oh, what was this? The key question is, why does nobody seem to bother about viral immune escape? Let me try to explain this by means of more easily understood phenomenon, antimicrobial resistance. One can easily extrapolate this surge to resistance to our self-made antiviral antibiotics. Indeed, antibodies produced by our own immune system can use their self-made antiviral antibiotics. This guy has more education here than I do. I was just everything this is true. Regardless of whether they are part of our innate immune system, so-called natural bodies, or elicited in response to specific pathogens, resulting in so-called acquired antibodies. Born with all the cells of your immune system, stronger throughout your life as you are exposed to your body to more germs. What is innate immunity? What is that? Is innate immunity just like your body like raising its temperature and shit? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Innate immunity is so like your skin, yeah, and its enzymes, stomach acid, your cough reflex, mucus. Natural natural antibodies. Would you call these a natural antibody? Not just that, also certain white blood cells? Okay. Maybe you would, I don't know. I don't have a formal education here. I'm trying to like nitpick this guy, but I truly don't know, so whatever. Antibodies are not term specific, whereas acquired antibodies are specifically directed at the invading pathogen. I mean, this is right. At birth, our innate immune system is unexperienced but well established. It protects us from a multitude of pathogens, thereby preventing these pathogens causing disease. As the innate immune system cannot remember the pathogens it encountered, innate immunity has so-called immunological memory. We can only continue to rely on it provided we keep it trained well enough. I don't understand this. Innate immunity also includes specific cellular cascades that recognize bacteria generally as opposed to being evolved against a specific pathogen mediated by things like toll-like receptors. When you talk about like cytokine response and shit, is that... Prevented achieved by regular exposure to a myriad of environmental agents, including pathogens. However, as we age, we will increasingly face situations where innate immunity often the first line of defense is not strong enough to hold a pathogen at the port of entry. When this happens, the immune system is not allowed to grow. We increasingly amount pathogen-specific immunity and the intensity of ABS as those have stronger affinities to the pathogen can reach high concentrations. We can quite easily outcompete our natural immunity. Similar to the rules applying to classical antimicrobial antibiotics, it is paramount that our self-made antiviral antibiotics are made available in sufficient concentration and are tailored at the specific feature of our enemy. That is why, in case of bacterial disease, it is critical to not only choose the right type of antibiotic based on the results from the antibiogram, but to also take the antibiotic for long enough, according to the prescription. Failure to comply with these requirements is at risk of granting microbes a chance to survive, and hence may cause disease to flare up. A very similar mechanism may also apply to viruses, especially viruses can easily and rapidly mutate, which is, for example, the case of coronaviruses. When the pressure exerted by the army's immune defense starts to threaten viral replication or transmission, the virus will take on another coat that no longer be easily recognized and therefore attacked by the host immune system. The virus is now able to gain immunity, so it's all immunity escape. However, the virus can only rely on the strategy provided to itself directly. Viruses, in contrast to the majority of bacteria, must rely on living host cells to replicate. That is why the occurrence of escape mutants isn't too worrisome, as long as the likelihood of those variants to rapidly find out a host is quite remote. However, that's not particularly the case during a viral pandemic. When pandemic viruses spreading all over the globe, with many subjects shedding transmitted virus, even including asymptomatic carriers. The higher the viral load, the higher the likelihood for the virus to run into subjects who haven't been infected yet or were infected and develop symptoms. Combination of viral infection and effect. Background or suboptimal ABV maturity and concentration enables virus to select mutations. Selection for those mutations preferably occurs on S protein, which is the viral protein that is responsible for viral infectiousness. Selected mutations can endow the virus with increased infection capability, and making it much easier for the virus to cause severe disease and infect more disease. Why is he worried that vaccines could cause this, but not the virus itself? Am I missing something here? Trying to find a VOD of an old-ass stream you did back in Nebraska where you were raising money to fix your roof, you were playing cancer donations all stream long. Is this VOD still up somewhere? I think if you Google, if you look for YouTube, like Destiny, text-to-speech donations. This is a birthday stream. Was the birthday stream to raise money for the roof? But that's the video. Why didn't you just file a claim? Because it wasn't damaged. It was just like it needed to be replaced. Now, there was a lab leak theory, but the plurality of evidence and most reputable scientists on the matter say that it was most likely animal-to-animal transmission. My understanding is right now the scientific community believes that that's true, but I don't think the conviction is super high. Like if it came out that, like, oh, actually it probably did come from the Wuhan virus, I think most of the educated people in the field would be like, okay, that's definitely possible. I don't think it's like 100 or 99% that it came from the wet market. I think it's like, I don't even know, like 55, probably like 60-ish%, I think, because I think the best studies right now that try to trace the, would you call it genealogy? I don't think you would. Traces it back to the, I think there were 2 big studies published on this, and I don't think anybody's challenged those findings yet. Destiny. Decoding the Gurus had a huge podcast with several people directly related. They seem to have a lot of conviction. Of what? The lab leak theory? Decoding the Gurus. Oh, I get posted that stuff a lot now. Those guys. Or I don't know if the people do, but the subreddit does. Time is a lecture? I think it's like 5:30. Want to give the vaccine only to the risk groups, i.e. old or sick? What was the point of giving it to everyone? I understand try to lower show it only mine. The problem is that people are always recent brain. The first two strains, the initial strain of SARS-CoV-2, the first COVID-causing disease. COVID is technically a disease. But the first strain and then the Delta variant had respectable levels of hospitalization. Was it 1 to 3%? 1 to 2%? What was the hospitalization for first SARS-CoV-2 virus? Let me check. Oh, holy shit. No shot. Was it over 15%? This might have been early on when only... It might have been really high early on because not everybody was getting tested yet, so we didn't know the actual numbers. Hospitalization rates in the US approximately 15% of confirmed cases. I think it's like 3 to 5. I think it might have been like 3 to 5%. But basically, the problem was that like the hospitalization, I'm pretty sure it was over 1%. But the problem with the initial coronavirus, there was so many people getting infected that even with hospitalization rates that were in the single digits, low single digits, your hospitals were getting fucking swamped. So you give it to stop transmission, but it doesn't stop transmission. Well, one, if you don't get infected, you can't transmit it, and they did reduce infection, so it does stop transmission that way. And then two, if you are vaccinated, the likelihood of you having to go to the hospital is severely decreased as well, so you're not taking up a hospital bed. Those are the two huge points, is that it reduces the likelihood of getting infection, and you're not transmitting, you're not infected, and then two, it would reduce the severe symptoms that you wouldn't have to get hospitalized if you were infected, if you were vaccinated. Has any connection been made between any even mild chronic symptoms or diseases and COVID vaccination? No. And they likely never will be. Source for reduced transmission? If you don't get infected, the problem is your brain right now is you're looking for a thing that is not measurable and doesn't exist because you've heard that like it doesn't reduce, like you've heard that many times. If you don't get infected, do you understand that? If you don't get infected, you can't transmit the disease. So if you have a vaccine, so for instance, measles vaccines basically like destroy the transmission of the measles virus. Not because it makes it so that you can't transmit measles if you don't have it, but if you don't get it, you don't transmit it, right? That when you talk about reducing the transmission of a disease, we're talking like societally as a vaccine. You're typically talking in terms of like all of society and reducing the transmission. Yeah, but I thought you could still get infected at the same rate. I don't believe you could get infected at the same rate, no. And if you did get infected, you would be more likely to be asymptomatic, which means less viral load, which also means less transmitting. I don't know if they will probably listen to that. What do you want? Hello, hello. Predict would be better handling the next pandemic or worse? It's probably going to come down to how severe it is, but initially it'll be worse. I think if it's bad enough, people will do what they need to do, but initially a lot of people are going to be skeptical literally no matter what. Hi, what's up? You talked for a second and then you muted. Hello? Okay, you're trolling me right now. This microphone cannot be real. What's going on right now? What's going on, buddy?
Can you hear me all right?
I mean, I can hear you, but it sounds like you're standing in the rain right now during a hurricane.
Okay. I'm actually in a lab right now, so
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
let me step out because yeah, there's a lot of airflow. So I'll be right back.
Well, wait, we can also chat later if we don't have. It doesn't have to be right now. I just like general questions. It wasn't like a super pressing thing. If you want when you're off work or something.
Oh sure, just like 5 minutes. I'll be right there.
Okay.
I'll unmute.
Okay.
My bad.
Oh, this is the Dan the Funk guy. This is not true. It only reduced the transmission. Your reduction is you get the virus, but you don't get sick. What percentage of those people that got hospitalized were sick or old? That is the core question here. I don't understand how any of these sentences relate to each other. Immediately after being vaccinated, you should have a reduction in likelihood of getting infected at all with the virus. I think that wanes pretty quickly, and then you can get infected, but then for a longer period of time, even if you're infected, the likelihood of you developing symptoms should be severely reduced because your body has the memory cells that can produce the antibodies quicker. I believe the main thing for the vaccine efficacy that was being tested, I believe was for hospitalization and symptomatic infections, I think. Obama says if you got vaxxed, you get a blowjob and you didn't get it based. You think Michelle Obama's a dude? Doesn't having a lower amount of viral load in your body also matter for transmission? I thought it did, but just Brandon in chat just said apparently it doesn't, so I'm not sure now. If I debate this one guy, if he actually wants to, I'm probably just gonna start like, we can do like a little vaccine section where I have notes. We already, we're doing immigration. We're doing that today. This. Check there. And then this goes here. Got a Chrome extension running? No, this is Obsidian. Best program. Changing that life. This today, I guess. You can get viral load in your body without getting sick, so that means you can infect others without getting sick. That is a fact. Yes, that is true. The question, I think, has to do with the how you spread the virus. So, for instance, if you have a severe illness and you're coughing or sneezing a lot, you probably have a higher likelihood, I guess, of spreading versus not. That'd be my guess. Or like, for instance, for herpes, technically you can only transmit herpes while shedding the virus. My guess is if you have a really bad outbreak of herpes, you have a higher likelihood of spreading it than if you have like an almost asymptomatic shedding of the virus. That'd be my guess. I don't know if I've got a study on that. Why is your stream so quiet compared to the other two? Is it? Bro, no shot. Am I actually quiet? I've increased my volume so much. What is your guys' actual volume settings on your computer? You were just mumbling? I'm mumbling right now, but it's still in the yellow. All of this is in the yellow. Literally none of this is in the green. April Fools. Fuck you, okay. I've increased my baseline volume on my stream like so much the past like 3 days. You're definitely the quietest stream I watch. I'm still the quietest stream? It reduces the transmission slightly, but it doesn't block it entirely, so I think we should follow the Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights. If there's a Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights, we should really always follow it. I don't know what the point of that sentence was, but okay. Am I just crazy with my audio? Talk capability, that makes it much easier for the virus to cause severe disease and affect some more disease. Like even when I'm listening to me mumbling here, I wouldn't listen to this at 100%. I probably have this at like 40 or 50. Hold on, let me listen. Plurality of evidence and most reputable scientists. This is what I would listen to this at. My understanding is right now the scientific community believes that you guys have this maxed. True, but I don't think the conviction is super high. Like if it came out that like, oh, actually it probably did come from the Wuhan virus, I think the monitoring on your mixer is too high. My monitoring is literally at the center. I could try listening on my phone and then put my AirPods in. Oh, maybe you guys are listening, maybe for mobile people. I don't know. Now compared to something else. Our good friend Hasanabi.
From your vape. Nobody's texting.
Hey, do I sound better?
Marginally. What's up?
Margin.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not good. How you doing?
Oh, okay. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Oh shit. Wait. Hold on 1 second, and then we can chat. Give me 15 seconds. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I'm actually currently, well, not right now, but I'm working on a video reviewing your talk with Jordan Peterson. Just the COVID parts.
Did I get anything wrong? Wait, have you gone
No,
through all of it yet, or?
Yeah. I found it and I'm editing it, but yeah, I generally say like, yeah, this did a pretty good job pushing back against Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson is pretty intellectually lazy and generally an idiot.
Okay, you said pretty good job though. So what can I do better on?
Nothing stands out in memory. I think there were like some minor things that I think I was going to add to, but nothing that was like wrong from what I remember. So yeah, when I say pretty good job, I mean genuinely good job.
Oh, cool. What do you, real quick, do you want to introduce yourself and give your background and all that?
Oh, sure. I'm Dan Wilson. My background is I have a PhD in biological sciences, specialize in molecular biology. Currently, I work as a senior associate scientist at Janssen. People like to think that's a conflict of interest for some reason when I talk about COVID and vaccines, but our company doesn't make any vaccines or COVID products anymore, so.
Okay.
There's that.
Also, wait.
But
hold on.
yeah.
Do you want to chat later when you get home? Wait, the microphone actually is pretty pretty cancerous.
What's that?
Wait, hello?
Hello?
Oh, wait, do you want to just chat when you get home? We can wait. That's okay.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, I'm wrapping up.
Yeah, okay. Wait, message me because it like cuts out and there's a ton of background noise and the quality's pretty low.
Walk in now, and I'm gonna be in my car in like 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, message me when you get home. We can chat then, okay?
Does it sound? If it sounds okay right now, we can chat.
No,
Oh,
it's not okay.
right.
Yeah, message me when you get home, okay? We'll do it then, okay?
All right, no worries.
Okay.
All right, see you in a bit.
I'm getting trolled. I'm getting trolled by everybody on the internet. Destiny 1. The interest and welfare of the individual should have priority over the sole interest of science or society. 2. Any preventative, diagnostic, and therapeutic medical intervention is only to be carried out with the prior free and informed consent of the person concerned based on adequate information. Okay. So everyone should have an iPhone 7. Well, he's probably literally talking about AirPods. That'd be my guess. Your headphones are probably higher than a normal person's. Do you have a dB boost on them? No, but maybe they are. Maybe just my audio chain is a bit more loud. It's possible. You're allowed on mobile enough now, but the past 2 weeks, yeah, my shit should be louder than it was before. Oh wait, hold on. The second part was these deceptions were irresponsible, led to harm, the lies mandates, should not scientific basis, it's COVID-19 ban. You, Destiny, are defending an utterly catastrophic public health policy and are now lying for them. It's time for us to repudiate these lies and to be more responsible, honest public health officials. This is the best thing to do for the vaccines. No double down on the lies. You're helping to buttress public health's credibility by rather than improving to fixing it. Job? I don't know, seems cancerous from everything I've seen about him. Wait, is Norm still tweeting about me on April Fools? Nice. Full conduct of the Hassan/Palestine protest. 245. Oh, also, guys, listen. After today, I didn't want to post this today because everyone's gonna say April Fools or some stupid shit. We need like a 2-week Hassan cooldown. This is fucking ridiculous. Holy fuck, please. Okay, wait. So help me here. Help me understand, because I don't get it. Help me understand, okay? Look, I'm linking this to all of you. Why is it that you guys say that I'm inaudible? You can't hear me, and I'm the quietest person on the internet, but half the fucking links I click on your stupid shit, this is inaudible. I can't hear this. Can you explain this? Here, watch this. Is it just me? Why can I not fucking hear this? The clip is dog shit, okay? All right, as long as it's not me. Fuck you guys. All right, well, it's gonna be quiet. Good luck, I won't talk. full context. Wow, I'm so glad I watched this. Somebody said apparently there's a bottling plant in Gaza that gives jobs to Palestinians. There's a bottling plant for Coke and Pepsi in Gaza? No shot. Coca-Cola and NBC open $20 million bottling plant in Gaza. Okay. How wild. Huh. Wait, and these are they're getting boycotted? I live in the Miami area and I go to school here at FIU. Have you ever thought about coming down to speak here? I mean, if they wanted me to. Yeah, if they paid me for it. Florida Supreme Court actually approved the adult personal marijuana use ballot initiative to be on the ballot in November and not an April Fool's joke. Alright. Alright. Okay, we're gonna read this. Is the debate with Alex still happening? Tonight at 7, I believe so, yeah. Hold on one second. Now we're reading this. A year-long investigation by The Insider in collaboration with 60 Minutes and Der Spiegel has uncovered evidence suggesting that unexplained anomalous health incidents, also known as Havana syndrome, may have their... What? What's wrong? Who's muttering the Carmel Abbey? Ask yourself. Havana syndrome may have their origin in the use of directed energy weapons wielded by members of Russian GRU Unit 29155. So if you accept those tenets, why would you vouch for population-wide vaccination? There was only slight reduction in transmission and increased hospitalizations of sick and old people, mostly specific to those people. The goal of vaccinating everybody was to reduce the amount of people being hospitalized, to reduce the burden on the hospitalization system, and vaccines were the most effective way at reducing the amount of hospitalization. There's nothing else that even came remotely close to it. Unless you literally wanted to lock yourself in your house all day and do nothing. Chill. What? Calm down. There's literally nothing to freak out over. What? Alright, so my lap will nothing for you to cry about right now. Okay. Let's go outside. No, she just went outside. What are you looking for? You wanna just, if you just hop up here, you just chill. What? This dog is like a pit bull face. Maybe we can eat us on the street. Here, come on. Come on. I've seen you do this before. I know you can do this. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna go back and read it. You know, so far, be lonely. I'm sorry. You give it to the people in risk groups, not to everyone. That way of thinking goes against the UDVHR. You give the vaccination to people that would get hospitalized. You give it to everybody because normal people can be hospitalized as well. What do you mean? Like, do you think like everybody gets vaccinated when they go to school? Everybody in the military gets vaccinated like about 1 million times more. Like, what are you doing in there? What are you up to? Okay, I'm triggered. Is that your dog in here? No, just somebody's over here for another day. They have a dog, so. Dog is here. Oh, God. You just came from out there. I know you did. Here, come here. Come lay down here. Yep. Look, lay on the ground. You'll be happy. Yep. Hi. Hello. What's her name? Chloe. Stop looking at me. You're fucking guilty. I don't. No, don't. Full screen. The dog's on the floor. She's just people that got hospitalized were mostly sick and old, not healthy people. This is what you're missing here. So just give it to those people. This is a twist of thing. You're not understanding, my dude. If every single person in society gets sick by a virus, and that virus hospitalizes even a low percentage of healthy people, that's enough to fuck everything up. I don't understand why you don't understand that. If there's a, let's say the hospitalization rate is 0.1%, but 300 million people get instantaneously affected. Even if all those people are healthy and the hospitalization rate is incredibly low, you still need to vaccinate them because there's that many people getting infected. If the virus is that infectious, it's bad. You want to avoid that. The idea of like, oh, as long as the healthy people don't get that much, it's not about that much. It's about the absolute rate of people getting sick. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. She thinks I'm shouting at her now. We gave it to the sick and old first anyway, so their point isn't even valid. We started with the most affected, and then the rest of us got it for the general population. Sure. You just hate the feeling of being licked? Dog is trying to be nice. I just don't like... I think I picked up some fucking Melina's germophobia shit. I just don't like petting animals and shit and putting my hands on everything. It drives me fucking insane. Can explain why none of the military-provided hospitals that were stood up ever saw that many patients? I don't even know how many were stood up. Wasn't that just one time in New York City? I've gotten a deluge of fucking emails. Deluge of emails from hospital people that got ass mad at me when I said it didn't seem like the hospital crowding stuff was that big of a deal. So pretty sure it was a fucking huge deal. Members of the Kremlin's infamous military intelligence sabotage squad have been placed. Have been placed at the scene of suspected attacks on overseas U.S. government personnel and their family members, leading victims to question what Washington knows about the origins of Havana syndrome and what an appropriate Western response might entail. Tbilisi? What the fuck is this? Capital of Georgia. He was tall, certainly taller than Joy's neighbors, and the Georgians she'd come to know in 8 months of living in Dahomey, an upscale residential community in Tbilisi. He was young and thin and blonde and well-dressed, as if headed to the theater, or perhaps a wedding. Minutes earlier, on October 7th, 2021, Joy, an American nurse and the wife of a U.S. Embassy official, had been taking her laundry out of the dryer when she was completely consumed by an acute ringing sound that reminded her of what someone in the movies experiences after a bomb has gone off. It just pierced my ears, came in my left side, felt like it came through the window into my left ear, Joy remembers. I immediately felt fullness in my head and just a piercing headache. She ran out of the laundry room on the second floor of her house and into the bathroom adjoining the master bedroom. Then she vomited. Joy and her husband, Hunter, a Justice Department attaché, in the U.S. Embassy in Tbilisi, had only arrived in Georgia in February of 2020 in the midst of the COVID-19 lockdown. Despite the all-consuming noise in her head, Joy called Hunter. Both their names have been changed for this article to protect their identities. Ha, nice name Hunter, good troll. My bad, didn't know you were streaming. Oh. Able to join the Destiny's room on my Discord now. You give it to the 1.5%, that's it. You're talking about the economic impact of what? Healthy people getting COVID is not a problem. Only when okay. I don't care about the things you're saying. Hi, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Doing good. Does that sound better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
What kind of microphone do you use?
Well, I'm not at my PC right now, so I'm still just on my phone.
Okay. All right. Now that we can hear you at least a little bit better, what is your what's your name and what do you do?
My name's Dan Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My name's Dan Wilson. Got my PhD in biological sciences, and yeah, now I work at Janssen as a senior associate scientist, mostly working on like gene therapy stuff, but nothing to do with vaccines.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the vaccines are gene therapy, but nice try.
That's a common one.
Yeah. What do you? I guess what did you think about in terms of the Peterson conversation? What do you think about things he said? What do you think about points that can be hammered home more effectively on my end? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
So I think, I'm just going off memory based on what I saw what I commented on. I mean, I think you did a great job pushing back against his specific claims. Like especially the VAERS one when he was like, "What about VAERS?" And you very accurately said, like, "No, it's not the gold standard. It never was the gold standard." But I think the challenge with these people is it's like they're always making these claims, and you kind of have to chase their tail trying to like correct them.
Yeah.
And it's harder to like hold their feet to the fire on one specific claim, and also ask them tough questions to show that they don't really understand what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Peterson understood at all what he was talking about.
Yeah, 100%. As soon as he brought up VAERS, it was very obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that this has more to do with like rhetoric and online debate or whatever you would describe, whatever I do, than just like vaccines in general. But one of the things that's very frustrating, I've been trying to think of how to do this. It would be nice if there was like a public recording or accounting of predictions or claims that people were making. Because like you said, especially when it comes to vaccines, I've learned so much random shit about immunology or virology or vaccines, like at a layman's level. But I've learned so much random shit just because every week there'd be like a new bullshit ass claim that I would have to like research. Like, oh, what is antibody dependent enhancement? I don't know what the fuck this means. Oh, what does it mean when the FDA changed what gene therapy meant? Or, I have to look up all these because every new fucking week there was another stupid fucking claim. But I don't understand how, this is from a content production side, I don't understand how you can make so many bad claims and bad predictions, but your audience doesn't seem to care or hold you accountable for any of them. And then you just move on to the next thing. It's like super frustrating.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. I mean, I've seen this a lot over the pandemic too. Like, but the thing is, like, it's their business. Like, these people, they make up these claims to scare people, to keep them, like, scared of whatever they want them to be scared about, so they can keep selling their supplements or their news show or whatever.
Sure.
And so they just keep making stuff up. And I guess the audience doesn't really care, or they string it together in a way that might make sense to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. But I mean, these people have been running this con for like decades now. So yeah, it's tough to keep track of it all, but there are lists of like indexed lists of claims that have been made throughout the pandemic. I could send you one that was curated by two guys who initially did a lot of debates on social media app called Clubhouse, which is pretty much dead now. But they debated a bunch of like insane wackadoos over the course of the pandemic, and they kept a running list of all the common claims they made. I think there's over 100 on them.
Well, I feel like we agree on most stuff. Most of my conversations are like disagreements or arguments, so I'm pretty bad at having ordinary human conversations. Do you see any, the claim that I see now that apparently a lot of conservatives are running on that I didn't see as much, but it keeps cropping up, is this idea that they had said in the past that the vaccines were going to be 100% effective and stop 100% of transmissions. And I've tried to run down a lot of these quotes, and usually it's in the context of like, oh, it'll stop the transmission. That'll be the quote from Bill Gates. But when you read like a paragraph before, he's saying like, yeah, the goal is to bring down the rate of transmission such that we achieve some level of herd immunity because we flatten the curve enough, and then that'll stop transmission. But people will just quote the last thing and say that, oh, they said the vaccines were 100% effective because they lied. I don't know if you've seen that, or if you've seen any other like vaccine claims go around. It doesn't seem to come up as much anymore. It just kind of like flares up whenever the topic of vaccines or anything comes up.
Yep, that's a pretty annoying one. It's common. And you're right, in context, most of these quotes from like Bill Gates or Fauci or Biden, I say most, but yeah, most of the time, they're in context, they're really just talking about like reducing transmission, or it's very clear that they didn't mean actually 100%.
Yeah.
Because even from the clinical trials, it was clear it doesn't prevent 100% of infections, and it's not going to prevent 100% of transmissions. And ultimately, it's like a deep misunderstanding of what vaccines are meant to do, which you did point out in your debate with Jordan Peterson. So I was happy to see that, because that's something that people often get wrong, is that the point of vaccines, like any vaccine, is to prevent the disease, to prevent the illness and the death. And people will be like, well, what about polio? And it's like, no, even polio vaccines were meant to prevent disease. They don't actually prevent infection or transmission, because whether you get vaccinated with the inactivated version, which is by needle, or you get the oral version, which is a live attenuated virus, in both cases, you're not getting immunity in your gut that's going to be like long lasting enough to prevent transmission. Like if you get infected, you're still probably going to shed polio. But is it going to make you sick? No, because you have an immune memory response that's going to stop the virus from getting into your central nervous system and causing paralysis. So at worst, you'll have like some mild like cold-like symptoms, and you'll never know you even have polio virus in your body.
Yeah,
like, that's always been the point.
Yeah, I think we have there's an issue with. I mean, to be fair, I didn't even know this until I got into all the COVID misinformation or whatever. In my mind, there was never much of a separation between an infection and a disease. They were always the same thing to me. And then when COVID rolled around, I was like, coronavirus, like, why do we call COVID and SARS-CoV-2 like, I don't understand why these are different names. And then through my reading, I'm like, oh, okay, like a disease and an infection are technically two different things, which I guess makes sense because there are things like HIV and AIDS are technically two different, well, they're not technically, they are two different things. Yeah, but I think that the overall level of education on that is not that good, and it lets people get more easily baited into the idea that like a vaccine is something that has to prevent 100%. God, I'm getting into weird debates now with people because people will say things like, all vaccines have always been 100% effective, and that's the definition of a vaccine. I don't remember if Peterson brought this up in our debate, or if this is another debate I was in. But I was like, what do you mean about what about flu vaccines? And somebody made the argument to me that those were never called vaccines, those were just shots or something. Somebody actually used that argument. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fuck me.
No, they're all vaccines.
Yeah.
No, a vaccine is just anything that prompts your immune system to react against specific pathogens or specific antigens, and that reaction is going to prevent disease. Yeah, it's frustrating because they'll prop up quotes made by Bill Gates or Fauci or whatever, where they have that soundbite of saying 100% stop infection, whatever. And on one hand, it's like, no, you're not really listening. But at the same time, the people on those platforms saying those things probably shouldn't have ever said that because it is unclear messaging. So I think it's fine to acknowledge, like, yeah, messaging is bad. But also, if you were actually paying attention and being honest and listening the whole time, it would be very, very obviously clear that it was not ever meant to be 100% effective in anything.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that, although I do like to remind people that the issue wasn't just unclear messaging, which is an issue, but the issue is unclear messaging, kind of, in an environment where there is like half of the society is poised to literally create propaganda around every single thing you say. Because it was so strange to me, and this is probably going to be part of, I think I've got a debate with that Kevin Bass guy coming up. Do you know who that is?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and that's what our argument's going to be about. He's going to say, oh, they all said it was 100% effective and blah, blah, blah. And it feels like I don't ever in my entire life, I don't remember thinking that ever, that the vaccines were 100% effective. Flatten the curve doesn't imply a 100% effective vaccine. And talking about which vaccines are better than the others doesn't imply 100% effective. But they'll take these like singular quotes, and I'm like, it is possible that some people spoke irresponsibly. It seems like at least some Rachel girls, some spokesman for the CDC, maybe made a few dumb statements that at the CDC even publicly like said like, hey, this is not what our guidelines say. But I feel like if you were like a normal, intelligent human being, you're listening, yeah, obviously I know, yeah, she misspoke and she was dumb or whatever. But you've got this whole other media apparatus on the other side that is just poised to amplify the fuck out of anything that they perceive to be misinformation. So you'll get this random quote from a CDC spokesperson that everybody on the conservative side will blow up like crazy. And now, I don't like that on the medical side, we're having this conversation where we're just saying, okay, guys, well, we need to think about how we can message clearly and effectively. That's not really what the conversation is. The conversation has to be, how can we message in a way that's like propaganda proof, or a way that like can't be misused or abused by the side. That's actually the issue. Because if it was just a matter of like a bunch of people trying to understand what they're saying, anybody in good faith could listen to the majority of the statements and go, yeah, okay, obviously like this person is kind of dumb or this person is misspeaking, whatever. But like the official position of the CDC has never been 100% efficacy on any of the vaccines. So like obviously if a spokesperson says that they're just retarded or they're misspeaking or they're being too general, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right though. Number one, they have to get better at messaging to be like propaganda proof, but also I think just in general, more scientists and doctors need to be willing to like kind of step into the arena, so to speak, with the people who are like the public figures who are making these claims, and because it's not hard to demonstrate that they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that most scientists and doctors are just not trained to, number one, have those kinds of conversations, and number two, even like seek out the opportunities to do them. It's mostly just like I remember when I was doing my PhD, it was kind of looked down upon if you were spending time doing outreach or doing science communication or anything outside of the lab. It was just like, oh well, you had time to do this, but you didn't read 5 extra papers. Why didn't you do that? It's like, well, dude, come on. Like it's not a great culture that fosters.
I do agree with that. Yeah, like I feel retarded sometimes, or it feels frustrating of like, okay, well, I have to argue with either this PhD guy or a guy that's actually a fucking MD on some vaccine misinfo because nobody in the actual medical community wants to do it. So, me, the retarded fucking music school dropout YouTuber, now has to like do a ton of fucking reading of all this bullshit and then try to argue against this guy who has a formal background that completely eclipses mine. It's very frustrating that you can't look to the world of academia to help at all because the right has no short of like fraudulent doctors and shit that'll come forward and debate shit. It feels like that if some of the people that worked in these institutions just got better at their public communication or public speaking or whatever, or just more blood sports hungry, it would be more effective for them to come out and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the general attitude is just, oh, ignore it and it'll go away, but that obviously doesn't work. But anyway, if you're gonna debate Kevin Bass guy, oh man, he's a trip. We've talked to him before in Twitter Spaces a couple times, and those have not gone well for him. He gets very triggered very easily, at least in that setting. I don't know if he would be more composed in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'll just make sure if I'm well enough prepared then.
Yeah.
What about the reputable doctors? They all spouting misinformation as well? I don't know why you guys cite authority when it agrees with you. It's so fucking retarded. Like, you guys will find 10 random fuck retard doctors who happen to agree with your point, and then if I can show you 100,000 on the other side, it's not good enough for you. So if you're going to appeal to the authority of a doctor, then why not appeal to the authority of doctor consensus? If you're going to appeal to the authority of a researcher, why not appeal to the authority of research consensus? When you pick and choose, you're literally committing one of the gravest sins of scientific consensus in the world. Like, oh, well, there's 100 experiments that agree with you, but there's one that agrees with me. Like, confidence intervals aren't measured in 100%. It's like, it's just such a stupid way of approaching any of the conversation. Yeah, and also past whoever you're citing, you just look at fundamentally like the claims that they're making too. But I don't know. Yeah. Ugh.
No, yeah, that's totally right. I mean, these people, whoever's saying that, I guarantee they're like, I know exactly who they're talking about.
Robert Malone and these other fucking
Robert Malone, McCullough, and like Peter McCullough. I don't understand why anyone takes him seriously. I mean, he's a guy who literally started selling supplements that he claims are going to protect you against spike protein. And then he realized that most of his audience is anti-vax. So he made up this whole story about how the vaccinated are shedding spike protein and you need to protect yourself against them. And he marketed his supplements for that purpose. These supplements have never been tested, never been put through traditional trials or any form of scientific testing. Like, he just says, take this, it'll protect you against spike.
Yeah.
If you're unvaccinated.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's no consistency on any of it, right? Like, nobody wanted the mRNA vaccines because it was experimental technology that was only emergency use authorized, but they went crazy for the monoclonal antibodies because Joe Rogan talked favorably about them. Like, there's absolutely no consistency on what people supported or not. So whatever.
That was always so weird to me. I'm like, I don't understand how Joe is sitting there on his show pushing this idea, or believing the idea, they had to suppress treatments like ivermectin so that the vaccine could come along. And it's like, dude, you like were booty clapping for monoclonal antibodies, and those cost like tens of thousands of dollars a dose.
Yeah.
So good on you for supporting big pharma and getting something totally wrong, because we had early treatments. It just wasn't enough. Like, we needed more solutions.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I might shoot you general questions I have. I'm probably have to put together a little doc just so that I can have like studies and shit on hand.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, fuck. I'm trying to. Was there anything else in that conversation you remember, or anything I said that I could have been clear on, or anything incorrect about, or?
I just, to be honest, I mostly was like just bewildered by Jordan Peterson, because he was unhinged in that conversation.
Yeah, he really like
and-
the C16 shit. I think just rotted the fuck out of his mind. Yeah. And the
Yeah, I mean,
shamelessness. But bro, when I go into all of these debates, I'm so fucking scared of saying something stupid or retarded. It's like, oh god, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. For him to like so accurately and with such conviction like scream at me, but like, what about the Bears? And I'm like, oh god, I would kill myself if I made a mistake like this and got caught having no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Like, oh god, yeah, it's just so frustrating because you have to run down so many claims. Oh yeah, and he was talking about like the 20% excess deaths in Europe, which I went and I looked up afterwards, and apparently it's all of these countries are like below 10%, but there is like some excess death. There's like a variety of different explanations for it. But the idea that it's just like millions and millions of people dying of vaccines, I think that's another one that Weinstein, Brett, is pushing. That like there's been 13 million deaths worldwide due to the COVID vaccines or some shit because of some dumb fucking guy study. Yeah. Ugh.
Yep. I mean, the excess deaths thing is just he was totally unhinged about that, and the easiest way to visualize that is if you just compare like cumulative excess deaths since 2021 and look at the least vaccinated countries in Europe versus the most vaccinated countries. Like on the most vaccinated end, it's countries like Sweden and Denmark, and they're literally having the lowest cumulative excess deaths since 2021. And on the other end, it's countries like Bulgaria, which have the lowest vaccination rates and the highest excess deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Jordan Peterson probably watched like some John Campbell videos on YouTube.
Oh god. Yeah.
And just is repeating them because he was totally lost.
Oh, he is 100%. Because when I started YouTubing a lot of the claims he was making, that's usually the first stop. I was like, oh, okay. Because like with conservatives, if you want to prepare for a debate, usually you just have to try to find like, well, who's the leading conspiratard spreader, and you find that guy and just watch it, and that will be like a blueprint for your entire conversation. It's like a cheat sheet for the conversation. And yeah, when I started looking it up, it was a lot of John Campbell videos saying a lot of the shit that he was saying about all the excess deaths and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that Brett Weinstein said is absolutely insane too, because the source that he used to call that a credible number, how many people the COVID vaccines killed, it's from a guy who, number one, doesn't think that any viruses exist or cause disease, which is okay, like bad shit. But the way he came to that number is he just looked at all the excess deaths from 2021 onward, assumed that COVID doesn't exist, and just attributed all the excess deaths to vaccines.
Okay.
Like that's literally all he did. It's crazy, and people just kind of ran with it.
Nice. I've seen the thing that he was referencing. I think I saw a couple of teardowns of it. Like I saw that they were posted. I just didn't read through it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, here's random questions. Do you have any idea if viral load impacts your likelihood of transmission? Are there studies on that? Like if you've got a high viral load versus a low viral load, or like you're asymptomatic versus symptomatic, do you know if the transmitting rate is still the same, or is it higher if you got a higher viral load, or you're symptomatic, or has that been studied at all?
As far as I know, for SARS-CoV-2, it's not well defined. It's going to vary by virus. Like sometimes, for instance, like pox virus diseases, like smallpox, monkeypox, even viruses like herpes. those viruses are mostly going to shed when you have like open sores.
Yeah.
But for respiratory viruses, it really depends. Viral load definitely is going to play a factor in it, but there's a lot of other factors too. Like you can still shed respiratory viruses while you're pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic, and even for a period while you have symptoms. So it depends on the virus, and I'm not aware offhand of any convincing data that says like, okay, we can measure this viral load in the person, and this correlates, and that correlates to their likelihood of spreading it onto others. That stuff's generally pretty hard to study.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. We'll
Yeah.
probably dig around for that. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Chat with you later, or are you gonna DM me? Do you have anything? You want to bring anything up?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, let
Cowboy.
me know if you end up talking to or scheduling something with that Kevin Bass guy, because I could pretty much tell you what he's going to bring up.
Sure. I'll shoot you the thing that he wants to go over. So yeah.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Have fun. Be careful.
All right, you too.
Bye. When was the last time non-compliance with a vaccine resulted in not being able to exercise religious liberties? I don't even know what your question is. You're just asking about lockdowns in general? Does that debunk the thought? Yeah. Listen, I've been watching a few videos of his on...
Hey, I'm Dr. Wilson. I'm a PhD.
Why couldn't you talk to me on this microphone?
And learning about these topics. I suggest you do that. So the choice is yours, right? You can pick which one you want to do. And I'll say in about a month, if I don't hear from you, I'll take that as you don't want to talk on a...
People are still so hurt about lockdowns, but forget the first ones were under Trump. Were they though? Under Trump? Wasn't that technically all decided at the state level? I don't remember if the federal government was able to mandate any of that. I think that all happened with I think that all happened at the state level, I believe. Are we reading about Havana syndrome? Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah. Let me use the restroom real quick. Wash my hands. These fucking dogs. Hold on 1 second. Thought the Trump administration encouraged it though? Probably, because they didn't want it to fuck them in the election. Kind of like how Biden right now is telling Netanyahu, you need to wrap this shit the fuck up. I don't hurt my election, bitch. 1 second. Then let's get super authoritarian over a virus with a fraction of a percentage death rate and just act like everything's legit. I can't get there. Okay, but how many months or years will you guys talk about like trans athletes? What's the percentage of people impacted by that? It doesn't matter who locks you down and infringes your rights, like practicing religion. Once you allow that as a society, you give the government the authority to do that in the future without recourse. You figuratively break the glass ceiling. What about my right to not be infected? Do I not have a right to be like safe or free of disease from other people that's like easily preventable? What about my right there? It's not a one, you're acting like it's a one-way street. There are multiple competing rights here that are being impacted. One is your right, a negative right, to assemble and worship or assemble in a public place. That is a negative right that hopefully the government assures you. But there's also the negative right for me to be protected and for me to be safe. I have a right to not have you attack me, to not have you shit on me, to not have you blow smoke in my face. I have a right to not have you cough on me or get me fucking sick all the time, right? It's a balance of rights there in a society that you have to figure out what the government is going to protect. It's not just a one-way thing. Like, how much are we going to destroy the rights of these poor, innocent, religious people for no fucking reason? I don't agree with them, but you can stay home if you don't want to get infected. Okay, and if you want to pray, you can do that in your house too, dipshit. What do you think people did before fucking churches? Jews lost their entire fucking country and managed to find ways to pray around the world. You can pray any... Muslims carry fucking carpets around with them, okay? So they can point towards fucking Mecca and say their stupid fucking prayers every day. You can't do that as a Christian? You can't get on your knees and say a fucking prayer? Christ, get the fuck out of here, dude. I don't agree that your right to be protected can infringe on the public's rights, but who cares about COVID vaccines? This is 3 years old. Yeah, no, it is. Those who would sacrifice freedom for safety deserve neither. Okay. We should just have there should be no police and no public protection for anything ever. How base would they? We'd just disband the whole police force. Easiest counter in the world. Even Peterson was asking for it. If you don't want to get vaxxed under a workers' vaccine mandate, quit your job and go live in the jungle. True. You think a huge reason why people were mad about the religious thing is because churches couldn't collect money from church guards? No, it's just all part of the conversation. These are things that people told them to be mad about, and now they're mad about it. You use Jews for an example. They literally congregate to pray. They gather in groups. But you really, if you're a Jew and you've only got 3 people with you, God doesn't listen to you. He only accepts what? Group DMs? Come on. Couldn't the BLM protesters have protested at home too? Were there restrictions on public gatherings outside? If they were protesting in restricted areas or they were gathering it too much, then fuck them too. My understanding is the outdoor stuff wasn't as big of a deal. Or I don't know if there were restrictions on outdoor gatherings. I don't remember. I think there was for a week or 2 in the beginning. And I know that because Chris Christie got in big trouble because I think he shut down a beach and was like at it with his wife. Oh yeah, the BLM exceptions, LOL. What did I just... Do you see how poisoned your mind is against everything I'm saying? That you can't even... You're not even hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth? What was the exception? If the BLM people were gathering in an area where it's banned or prohibited, then don't. I don't remember the outdoor restrictions. They were restrictions and they shouldn't have done that either. Jesus Christ. Those aren't rights, Destiny. Your argument is fundamentally wrong. What's not rights? You don't think you have rights to not be, like, forcibly infected with diseases? Isn't it literally misdemeanors for giving people STDs if you knowingly have them and you don't tell them? said racism was a bigger public health crisis than COVID, so they allowed it. Yeah, I saw that letter. That was fucking cringe. You don't have to pray with 10, but it's part of the religion. Some people only pray with 10 people. For example, some people will not go on vacation if there isn't a minyan, quorum of 10 men. Well, time to hop in the Discord group chat. You look at vaccine studies prior to 2019, all the ones I'm seeing are showing most major vaccines were about a 90% success rate. Yeah, the ones that we mandated, but flus were never 90%. A flu vaccine was never 90%. I don't think you typically vaccinate children with highly mutating diseases. Usually they were for the solid ones where it's like, well, you get this vaccine because it like lasts for either a long time or your entire life, and they're the best ones to give. But like if you got a flu shot as a kid, which some people did, then you would I mean, you get flu shots as kids, and those were like, what, anywhere from 40 to 70%, I think, depending on the year. Now, in hindsight, would you say the reduction in suffering from lockdowns was worth it regarding the rise in social issues after the lockdowns, i.e. youth issues or depression? I don't remember how many of those things actually came to fruition. I think, retrospectively, to say whether or not the lockdowns were worth it, probably not, but we either needed to be more hardcore with the lockdowns, or we needed to be way less hardcore with them. But we walked this stupid middle ground where you didn't really do anything effectively at all, and it was kind of a waste of time. But also evaluating things retrospectively is a lot different than evaluating them at the time with the information we had. The point is that once you give the government the authority to limit your First Amendment rights, you get into risky territory in regards to government overreach. Again, we can't point to any time we as a society alone. There's tons of restrictions on your First Amendment rights. What the fuck are you talking about? There are certain, like, trade secrets I might not be able to say if I sign an NDA with somebody. I can't plan to do a crime with somebody and speak about that. That's criminalized speech. I can't incite people to riot or violence. I can't go into a movie theater and scream fire. I can't, what do you mean? There's tons of restrictions on lots of First Amendment rights. It just depends. The First Amendment doesn't mean you have the freedom to say anything at any point in time, everywhere you want, no matter what, with no restrictions. There are already restrictions on the First Amendment. Obviously, these restrictions are usually very carefully cut out, and they're done with, they're very purposeful. At the time, people were saying it was stupid, that the people at risk were old and fat, but you fascist Democrats didn't care. Old and fat? Hello, that's like 50% of the US population. Right, but you mandated masks for 6-year-olds. Yeah, because I think the idea was you were trying to prevent people from just spreading the disease at all. I don't know at the end of the day if mask mandates for children, or I think closing schools probably wasn't a good idea. Or closing schools isn't a good idea. But you guys you can't even intellectually grapple with that. In your mind, you're not thinking, was closing schools efficacious or not? You're thinking, why did the fascist Democrats lock us out of schools to destroy our freedoms because they hate freedom and they're communists? Like, that's where your mind is. You're not even able to come to the table to have that discussion. And lots of people said that it was a bad idea at the time, but they were called crazy. Because Alex is having the same problem. Hold on. I want to ask, let's just ask a question. I'm just curious how many people listen. I'm just curious. I'm not going to preload this at all. I just want to ask a question, okay? Let's say that John and Andy are here, okay? John and Andy are these two people. And they're looking at a bowl that's turned upside down on a table, okay? Underneath this bowl, there can either be an apple, a banana, is that with one in each? A grape, or an orange. Okay? are limits on our First Amendment rights, but when was the last time we saw the government tell grandma she can't go to church, mosque, or any other religious house of worship? I don't know, if I Google right now, there's never in the entire history of the United States ever been lockdowns due to like weathers. There's never been like mass curfews. Like this has never happened at any point in all of US history for any disease, for any war event, for anything ever. That's never, ever, ever happened ever on the whole history of the United States. Okay, sorry. John and Andy. They're both looking at this, all right? Where's my selector? John is asked, not for a long period of time. Remember that churches / mosques / temples were closed in California and not bars. Is that true? I thought everything was closed in California. I think I lived in COVID in California. Did they not close any? I thought restaurants and bars got closed too. Is he making it up or? Okay, we've got John, sorry, and we've got Andy. Okay. Now, both of these people are asked, what do you think is under the bowl? What do you think is under the bowl? John says, I'm not sure. It's like a 25% chance that it could be an apple, it could be a grape, it could be a banana, it could be an orange. So, John doesn't know. 25%. He's not sure. Could be any of these things, all right? Andy looks at it and Andy says, there's an apple under there. Trust me, I know. It's an apple, okay? Andy says it's an apple, all right? John's not sure. He says, I don't know, 25% chance it could be anything. Andy says it's an apple, all right? Here's the question. Do we need to know what's under the bowl to know if John and, to know if Andy or John are making intelligent guesses? Yes, no, not sure. So let me just, one more time. John is guessing 25% it could be any of these four things. And Andy says it's an apple, all right? My question is do we need to know what's under the bowl to know if Andy or John are making intelligent guesses, all right? See my super chat. No. Destiny has to frame COVID as totally random guesses because conservatives were correct about too many things. No, they weren't. Conservatives were you realize like more conservatives died per capita than liberals, right? Even though they technically had less of a reason to because they were even more spread out. Liberals live in cities. You fucking retards actually death culted yourself because you were too stupid to vote by mail for Trump, so your dumb fucking fat loser candidate lost, and then you fucking died like retards because you were too stupid to get fucking vaccinated, more than the liberals did en masse. Like, okay, I imagine some of these are troll votes. So what, 12, 13% of chat is below, what is it, what would this be, 75 IQ, 80 IQ? control. I mean, we have no context for the analogy to know if it's an educated or intelligent guess. It's a retarded analogy. I gave you the... This is all the information. This is all the information that you need. That's it. It's a problem. If you're asked, John throws a ball at 25 miles per hour, how long does it take the ball, assuming there's no friction or anything else, assuming the ball travels, how long does it take to go 25 miles? Do you ask, like, well, you didn't tell me if John was on a moving car or not. What?
Tell me. I just started turning in. I want to see if I'm a retard or not. Tell me whatever it is. This looks like a logic puzzle. Please.
Tell you, what do you want me to tell you?
Wait, is this like a thing that like you get right or wrong? Or no?
Yeah, the question is
Okay.
do we need to know what's under the bowl to know if John or Andy are making a good guess about what's under the bowl?
Say that again. Is there any more context?
There's a bowl on a table that's upside down. John and Andy are both told that there's either an apple, a grape, a banana, or an orange underneath the bowl. That's all the information they're given. John says, then they're asked to make a guess, or what do you think is under the bowl? And John says, I don't know, I can't know. 25% for anything. And Andy says, there's an apple. And the question is do we need to know what's under the bowl? Do we need to flip the bowl over to see who's making a good guess or not?
Well, we would know that the person who says that they don't know is the correct person, because I think that's what you're saying.
Like, you need to, wait, what? Say that again?
If you're saying which of the two people is more correct, the person who's saying I have no idea what's under there, obviously, and it's for us to judge if they're good guessers. Then
No, the question is do we need to know the outcome of this event to know if the guess for the outcome was good or bad?
Hold on, I'm thinking. Sorry. Do we know that they don't know?
Yes.
Oh. Then we can say they're both no. Or that the guy who says it's an apple. Sorry. We know that he doesn't know, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, am I retarded?
No, you got there in the end, yeah.
Well, I didn't have all the pieces. I didn't know that you didn't know that they didn't know, right? Because think about it in a different way. What about if I don't know? Sorry, let me take this step back. New scenario, okay? You got Lycan and Steve arguing over what's... I come in the room. Lycan and Steve are arguing about what's underneath the bowl. But I don't know that you guys actually don't know. Because what about if you did know? That's a different situation. Oh my god.
Wow. Well, you probably have to gather some more information. Why did you call Dark Viper AU mentally ill in your last upload instead of debating him? Because he is mentally ill. I think I have debated him in the past, or I think I've talked to him. I don't remember. The guy is crazy. If he wants to talk, I could. Actually, no, wait, never mind. Fuck him. I won't. I think he was on some huge explosion, like doing his yearly bitching about copyright shit, and I think I offered to debate him on it. He's like, no, I only want to debate XQC. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. And then after his popularity fell off from the, he didn't fall off, but after the huge surge of the copyright bitch and moaning went away, I think then he was like, okay, we can debate. I'm like, well, fuck you. No, I'm not gonna talk to you. No, fuck you.
Oh, is this the guy that is suing SubLogic or threatening to?
He might be, yeah.
You know, all these people, there's a bunch of people on the internet that threaten to sue people. And I feel like none of these people understand how ungodly expensive it is to even do things like discovery. And also how invasive and insane that process is. You can tell when they just like so quickly throw it out like it's nothing. Like they're just gonna go to court and put in a few dockets and I'm gonna be in your Gmail account or something tomorrow. It's like such an insane process for shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like discovery could cost a lot. Depends on what it is of what's going on.
I've
Like
heard
if
if you're doing a civil case, discovery, if you're getting to the point of like all that, doing discovery, that you're looking at around like 30 to 50,000 by that point, basically.
Well, it depends. That's if it's like a minor thing. Like for instance, if someone was to sue you, I mean, I don't want to let me use it. If someone was to sue a very large, like, there's a very large amount of content online, the cost of doing discovery for that person would be very high because of the amount of resources it would take to comply with discovery, right? Does that make sense?
Because you'd have to, especially like once you start doing depositions and going through all the evidence, you're gonna have to pay a law firm and all their associates however much time it takes to go through.
Usually like hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would say.
Possibly, yeah, depending on
Sorry, I just logic bubble and I thought I would come in,
I read the Havana thing, hopefully.
but ooh, excited. Bye.
Careful. It's funny how you lambast conservatives when you're the most status quo. Authorities always tell the truth. Conservative I've ever heard in my fucking life. It's not that authorities always tell the truth. It's that I'm looking at an entity like the FDA. The FDA has to publicize a lot of their shit. It's a government entity. It's ran by the government, that is elected by the people, that has a different head of state at any given point in time after elections, that can nominate new heads of the all this shit, right? So I trust that process. Now, the FDA might get things wrong, of course, but I trust that process. You will look at the FDA and you'll say, like, they're about as credible as one guy on YouTube who gets paid a fuck ton of money to tell you exactly what you want to hear. If you look at these two processes as being equally likely to deliver a truthful outcome, you are fucking retarded, okay? I hope to God one day Joe Biden taxes me enough so that my tax money can pay for a permanent caretaker, so your dumbass doesn't wander off into the fucking street and get hit by a car. FDA gets paid by the institutions they regulate. Yeah, when you pay for drug approvals and shit, some of that money goes into the FDA. That doesn't mean that they pay to get the drug approved. Your gas tax, also goes to the fucking. Would that be a direct comparison? Gas tax going to states for roads to incentivize them to continue to have cars. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with collecting fees off of people that you regulate. I don't understand why that would ever be a bad thing. If I had to guess. Should know. No, I would. Why would I know this? If I had to guess, restaurants probably pay some fee for like food inspection and shit as well. But would you say that like the FDA doesn't work because like it's also paid for partially by like restaurants and shit that pay taxes and fees? Like, it's fucking retarded. How do you explain the opioid crisis if the FDA is working so well? Is the opioid crisis the fault of the FDA? Yes, no, yes for Netflix. Oh, huh. What do you think there are conflicts of interest? For what? I've seen the new Factorio space. No! I'm waiting for it to launch. Please don't ban me, but you can't pretend you're in favor of progressive taxes anymore because you left California for Florida specifically for income taxes. What is this? Just because you're in favor of taxes to pay for social programs doesn't mean you donate all of your money to the government. If there's ways to minimize your tax burden, I'm gonna take it. Like, I'm in favor of taxes for wealthy people, but I also have tax-deferred retirement plans. I'm not like evading tax evasions or avoidances. I'm not evading taxes. I just live in a state that has a lower tax footprint. I do other things to minimize my tax footprint as well. Like, being in favor of a progressive taxation system doesn't mean that you're obligated to pay every single fucking tax you can find. Or donate extra money to the IRS. Taxes for thee, not for me. I paid more in taxes last year, Francisco, than you'll probably earn income for the rest of your life. Shut the, what are you talking about? You're so fucking retarded. Nothing triggers me more than like a $27,000 a year fat fucking retard conservative scarfing down McDonald's who's gonna be consuming all my fucking tax money later on when your fat ass is dying of type 2 diabetes because you're too stupid to even take the fucking insulin, okay? defending my right to have no taxes. Every single time I just want you to know this. Just know this deep in your soul, okay? Every time you tweet and vote for lower taxes, it's helping me and not you. If you shave 1% off my tax burden, I'm saving more money than your AGI for the year. I hope you know. I just want you to know that. You know what that means? That means that even when I'm losing, I'm winning. Even when I'm losing, I'm winning. Because if you get your way, you just continue to get fucked, and the rich guys like me continue to make even more fucking money. That's exactly what I want. Engage with the steelman argument. Is legal what is the steelman argument? Is legal offshore tax avoidance acceptable? If it's Illuminator, thanks for the 5 gifted subs, and Kose Batar, thanks for the 193 euros. I don't know what the rationale is for offshore taxable accounts. I don't know how that works, or what the legal justification or more. I just don't know. I have a strong opinion. That's like when you say Hassan doesn't operate his business in a socialist manner. Yeah, because Hassan thinks capitalism is morally evil and that socialism is morally righteous. I'm a capitalist. I've never said anything different. What the fuck? High taxes, government programs to help promote. I don't believe in high taxes. I don't care about taxes as a moral thing. What I think is we need certain government programs, and then we should tax appropriately to pay for those programs. We should also tax progressively. I pay a progressive tax. I pay a lot in taxes, okay? That doesn't mean I'm obligated to move to states with the highest tax burden and pay taxes there, especially if I don't get anything out of it. You say you want high taxes, then you try to get away with low tax possible. What kind of hypocrite? I've never said I wouldn't. Okay, I will unban you from all of my shit permanently when you can send me an email where I'm saying like, we need high taxes. I've never said that in my entire life. What a fucking retarded point. You said the rich people should be taxed higher like a week ago. I believe in a progressive tax scheme. Yes, when you have brackets, do I need to explain what tax brackets are? Do you know what progressive taxation means? Your model of taxation leads to a state like California. The conservative model leads to a state like Florida. Sir, Florida and California have nothing to do. They just, one uses an income tax and the other uses another type of tax. Sales tax? If Florida uses sales tax, technically they use a progressive taxation system as well. Like, I buy more shit than a poor Cuban living in Hialeah. So technically, I'm progressively taxed in Miami as well. If you look at the as an absolute value, per capita income, food isn't taxed. I don't know as much there, but what do you think of a wealth tax? Wealth tax is retarded. Does Florida have a large tourism tax on eating out? I don't know if there's a specific tourism tax here. Florida can get away with no income tax because of insane property tax and tourism growth. Dan said there's no property taxes here, or they're really low, so apparently that's not true. So you want high taxes, but not for yourself because you spend more money in the economy than tourism? When am I... This is the thing. Can we just watch a Destiny YouTube video? Where didn't I explain this in a video? You're grouping the thing. You're grouping the tax with the moral thing that it's supposed to deliver on. These two things are separate, okay? I think we should have social programs, okay, that help the poor, all right? Typically, you need taxes to fund it, and progressive taxation makes sense because of the concept of marginal utility is what you would say, the concept of marginal utility. I don't think taxes are good. I think social programs are good. So we should tax whatever we need for our social programs. That's it. FICA is not progressive? No, but the federal income tax brackets are progressive. And what taxes will fund that if you move to a state to lower your own taxes? Your federal income taxes, are not impacted by the state that you live in. The only thing that changes are your state income taxes. My federal income tax burden, and then your self-employment or your FICA tax burden, is the same no matter where you live in the United States. Do you understand that? You can't move to another state to reduce your federal or FICA tax burden. No one said federal. Why are you? Because when you're talking about like federal programs and shit, then I think the largest programs that we have that run for welfare and shit are huge federal programs. For whatever state programs they have here in Florida, whatever taxes I pay on shit here probably funds those programs. So then you don't want to contribute to your state social programs? I do contribute. I contributed however they collect taxes here is the way that I fucking paid them. You think that those who make significantly more money are morally responsible to our philanthropy? I don't know. If you want to, I guess. I don't think you're morally obligated to. What are the property taxes like here? I don't know. I rent apartments. You want a progressive taxation bracket thingy, yet you move to a state to not get taxed in said taxation bracket. Sounds pretty retarded to me. In California, you don't get anything for your taxes. I don't see where the money goes. I don't have a strong attachment to California, so I'm gonna move to a place that minimizes my tax footprint. Same thing with me contributing to SEP IRA, okay? I give money to a SEP IRA because the government has the ability for you to put money into an account to minimize your tax footprint. You can advocate for a thing and then maximize your existence within the thing, right? Like, let's say that I think that you should have to volunteer for an hour on Sundays as part of some government program, and I think that'd be a good thing if we mandated that socially. If it's not mandated socially, that doesn't mean you have to do it, otherwise you're a hypocrite. There's a difference between a mandate top-down from society versus an individual's acts in society. Now, there are some things that might be like clearly contradictory. So like if you were engaged in hardcore like tax evasion, that would be kind of questionable. Hold on, why are you illegally evading taxes? But as long as there are legal ways to minimize your tax footprint, you should always take advantage of those legal ways. I've never said anything different ever, and I've never condemned anybody for not doing that. Wanting to minimize your tax footprint, you don't have to pay the maximum amount of taxes to think that like a progressive taxation system is fine. The government taking 30% of my fucking money is theft, period. Well, if it makes you feel better, my dude, the fact that you type that means you're probably too retarded to earn the amount of money where they're taking 30% of your fucking money. They probably take like fucking 5%, but you're too fucking retarded to realize it. Don't you have a Q&A right now? Yeah, a guy is doing a class. I guess so. Why Florida and not a blue state that uses the tax effectively, or do those not exist? I don't know. I live in Florida because Melina wanted a place that was warm, that she could go to the beach at all the time, and was on the East Coast. Florida was the only thing that fit because East is the time zone for the United States. And you shouldn't criticize Hassan for not running his business in a socialist manner. You can't. I don't know how to break this. I can't break you out of this. I can't break you out of this pattern. I don't think that paying high or low taxes, I don't think that's a moral thing. There's nothing moral. That's just a thing that people do. The moral part is the social programs that we have. These should be funded. And the best way to fund those is typically a progressive taxation system. Everybody in chat, if you're advocating for a flat tax, do it. Actually, you should. I changed my mind. You're right. The conservatives won, okay? The conservatives won. I agree. Flat tax is best, okay? Fuck progressive taxation. We should do a flat tax, okay? For the record, this is the only time I'll say this. I made $2 million last year, and I paid $680,000 in taxes. If you want to cut that down and give me a 10% flat tax, I will gladly shit out $250,000 and watch you fucking losers drown, okay? If that's what you want to do, I will do that, okay? Yeah, my tax rate is huge. I get fucking raped by the federal government. I don't want to pay an extra $150,000 in taxes in fucking New York or California, okay? But if you want to do a flat tax because you think that's more fair and you think that you and your entire family that live in cockroach-infested fucking trailer trash bullshit, that you guys can come up with the extra money to pay for your own fucking food stamps, if you want to do that, amen, brother, go for it. I want to see you making $36,000 a year, paying $3.6K to the government because you want a 10% flat tax, and I will gladly take the $500,000 in tax savings, okay? If that's what you want to do, amen, brother, go for it. You won. You won. You guys win this debate. I am in favor of the flat tax, okay? There you go. I support them 100%. I'm a flat tax guy right now, okay? Are we doing this on Zoom or Discord? Do you want social programs to be funded? Why not go to a state that effectively funds its taxes? Do you think Florida social programs are well funded? I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't lived here because Malina wanted to live here. That's why I moved to Florida. Why do you operate under the assumption that everyone who supports a flat tax is a poor schmuck living off of government benefits? Isn't that an insane viewpoint? No, because it tends to be fat, type 2 diabetic, retarded conservatives that support that point. Or maybe some business owners who are just like, I just want to. But I feel like once you hit a certain level of wealth, I don't know how much you're super bought into that. And I feel like I hear a lot of wealthy, rich people talk about like, yeah, we can pay more in taxes for income taxes. I don't think, at the end of the day, the reality, the true reality, but you motherfucking retards don't understand fuck all about taxes. The true reality is at the end of the day, tax brackets don't really fucking matter that much. Because really wealthy people tend to have their money in a whole bunch of different areas that shields them from just strict federal tax bracket liability. So your income is coming through the form of appreciation in capital in a business, appreciation in stock or other assets, money that's being diverted to other sorts of tax advantage retirement or after death vehicles. There's a whole bunch of other ways that wealthy. So while you guys are clamoring for like flat taxes to save people that earn infinitely more than you anyway, it's not actually at the end of the day making that big of a fucking difference. But not you? No, because all of my money is straight income. I don't have any money to dump into business at the moment, so I just get fucked. That's why I'm in favor of the flat tax now, because I'm getting fucked by the government, okay? Flat tax me, and we'll be good to go. That's what I want. Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Doing well, except we can't really hear you. Can you hear us?
Wait, if you can't really hear me, how were you able to respond when I asked how you were doing?
Well, because I can hear you, you just sound really far away.
Well, I mean, technically, I am really far away. That's the beauty of the
It's
internet.
an audio problem on our end.
Okay, you're fine. I can hear you okay, yeah? Blue states need to pay high taxes to subsidize the red states. If blue states are subsidizing red states through federal taxation, the state taxes shouldn't be impacted. That won't have an impact. As much as I'll just show on red states being welfare queens. Hi, what's up? Is it working?
Sorry, Steven. Give me 1 minute.
Okay. You pay Nebraska taxes on your house there? No, I pay property taxes, I guess. You're muting Discord, not the room. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm muting Discord. Wait. Why not? No, shut up. They can hear you. No, they can't hear me. Dumbass. Not calling you a hypocrite because I don't think you are one. However, if someone says the government should make people work 1 hour in soup kitchens, yet they don't do anything, aren't they a hypocrite? Not necessarily, no. Advocating for a government policy because you think top down if everybody's bought into doing something. But if it's not there, then there's no point. It doesn't necessarily make you a hypocrite. It's like saying that, like, if 10 of us get together, we can pick this car up and, like, move it across the street. And there's, like, 2 people that are advocating for that, and the other 8 don't want to. And the 8 look at the 2 people like, why aren't you guys trying to? It doesn't, like, solving the problem.
That's not gonna work. Is it?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me? Hello, hello? Then why do you shit on Hassan for doing the same thing? Because Hassan says that capitalism and the participation in capitalism is inherently immoral. I don't believe that.
Can you try again?
Hi, can you hear me? Hello, hello?
No, we can't hear you at all.
Oh, nice.
We can see you.
Cool. Make sure your Discord
I don't know why it's not
output
coming through right.
is the same as your desktop speaker on the sounds menu. I can help walk you through this more if you can't find a settings menu. Why is the troll face in blue? It looks like it's highlighted. I keep trying to unhighlight it.
Let's try that again.
No offense, but it seems like you have a convenient explanation for everything. Yeah, I have an explanation for everything I do because I'm 35 years old. I've been on the internet for 15 years. Oh, I'm screaming from this class. Yes, because I've been doing this for a long fucking time. Of course I've got an explanation for everything I do. You think I just do... Wait, you can't hear me, can you? Oh, hey, hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, you didn't just hear me screaming, did you?
No.
Oh, okay, I wasn't screaming, I was kidding. Okay.
No, we could see you being a little animated, but
You're good, don't worry about it.
no, hi team. Thanks for doing this. This is the class for this evening. You probably can't see all of them, but they're all hiding behind computers out here.
Yeah, you're good.
And we have had some interaction with your work. We listened to the Rabbit Hole podcast. Some people are already familiar with who you are and what you do, but I wondered if you wouldn't give 30 seconds about what you consider to be your sort of like forte and sort of content creation.
My forte in content creation is I think I do a decent job at doing a deep level of research into topics that I argue about, and I'm good at presenting that information in a convincing way in a live format with incredibly hostile interlocutors, I guess we would say. Yeah. In a single sentence.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I was just, as I was trying to fix the sound here, I was recounting that you have recently been on with Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and some other pretty, well-known conservative content creators. And it seems like you do a pretty good job at keeping up with what, some people might call like a Gish Gallop or like, ways in which that they use their rhetoric. Which often confuses other people. It makes it difficult to stick with them. Why do you think it is that you are able to sort of keep up with those things better than the average person?
Why? I don't know. Genetic? I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's probably a combination of like I grew up in a really politically hostile environment. My mom and dad are like my mom especially is super big into politics, so I grew up following politics a lot just because she's Cuban. They felt very strongly about being pro-conservative and pro-Trump or back then it was pro-Bush and anti-Clinton. So I grew up in that like really heavy, argumentative and politically plugged in environment. Then I got into video games and stuff in my 20s. Well, really earlier than that, but like professionally as part of streaming in my 20s. And a lot of the video game stuff online was literally how evil and mean and horrible could you be to the other people online. So eventually I got into politics around 2015, 2016. So the combination of like the political attunement plus the online hardcore aggressive style of insulting and attacking people basically spat out in 2016 me, who was like a left-leaning debater guy, but who was also very aggressive, more so than the average left-leaning debater person. And then I've just kind of like grown from there.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the students. Anybody have a question they want to open with Steven? Yes, go ahead. And I'll relay it if you can't hear it well.
I cannot hear anything. It sounds like you guys are underwater, so you'll have to repeat it for me if you can. It's not your fault. It's
Sure,
just
no problem. Yeah, so the student asked, what is your goal in a debate? Is it to convince the other person or to get your points across? When you enter, that sort of thing, what are you looking for?
For debates, your goal is always going to change based on the topic, based on the person you're talking to, based on the conviction, morally and empirically you have for your position, and based on, did I say if there's an audience listening or not? All of these things are going to factor into what your goal is for a particular debate. I'm going to use debate very broadly here, but let's say I really want to send my son to a certain school, and my son's mom has a big disagreement on that, right? Well, if I approach that as a debate, I need to make sure that I'm being empathetic because I don't want to make an enemy of my kid's mom, obviously. I need to make sure that my arguments are both empirically sound, like, look, this school is better, and emotionally based, look, it'll be better for our son, and you want this to, be good for our child. And then I might need to be aware of, like, if she's got a mom or friends that are convincing of something else, I need to be aware of, like, what that audience would say, what her friends might say about that. Let's say that I'm having a debate with somebody who's generally politically similar to me in front of a school, right? Well, in this debate setting, it's not going to be cutthroat. We're in front of students, so hopefully we're not going to be screaming at each other. If we're generally pretty politically aligned, I don't have to make a bunch of moral arguments. They're going to be mainly empirical because we already agree morally on things. And it's probably just going to be a gentle back and forth to kind of show the students, like, both sides of what we're talking about. If I'm having a debate online against a guy who identifies as, like, a far-right, white nationalist or Nazi dude, I probably want to be a bit more aggressive in my communication there. I probably want to push back both morally and empirically on a lot of claims, and I want to be aware that people are watching this looking to validate points of view that I might find morally repugnant, so I have to be a little bit more aggressive in how I angle that. But that's just like 3 examples. There's like a million other things that factor into how you approach a conversation. There's no one size fits all for, like, oh, well, when you debate, the goal is to change the person's mind. Like, that's not the goal of almost any conversation you have ever, even when you really do want somebody's mind to change, right?
If you really do want someone's mind to change, are you approaching it, like, emotionally or empirically or a combination of those 3?
I think you asked the CIA to bring back info. No, I don't know. If you truly want to change somebody's mind, there are going to be some factors at play that are within your control and some that are outside of your control. So things that are going to be outside of your control are going to be things like who's their social group. That would be like a first question. So, for instance, let's say I'm going to have a religion debate with somebody, and I'm personally a strong atheist. Let's say that I want to debate somebody who, he lives online, he's got, like, a diverse group of friends, and he's, like, culturally Muslim or something, right? Like, we can debate about it, and I might be able to change his mind, maybe not, depends on how the debate goes. But let's say instead of that, let's say I'm debating a guy who's, like, in a hardcore religious family, who, goes to mosque, or a Christian who goes to, like, a super, like, Baptist church or whatever, and I want to debate that guy. The chances of me changing the mind of somebody whose social group heavily reinforces the political, the particular point of view that I'm trying to move them off of is going to go way, 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 way down. Because that person just doesn't have the personal social flexibility to actually adopt a different point of view there. That's one of, like, I could talk, like, for an hour about, like, any of these particular things, but that would be one thing you would consider as like a factor outside of your control. Other factors outside of your control might literally be, like, the age of the person, the background of a person. Like, if they come from, if I want to convince somebody that America sucks and they're from the United States, I might have a harder time than if I'm convincing somebody America sucks and they're from Palestine, right? Depending on a person's background, those are going to be things outside of my control. For things in my control, I would say that speaking with a lot of empathy, understanding where a person's coming from is really important. Being able to speak within a person's value system is really important. So, for instance, let's say I'm debating immigration with a conservative. I'm probably not going to be appealing to immigration is important because it increases the diversity of our country. Conservatives aren't going to give a fuck. Not going to care about that. Conservative won't care about that at all. So instead, my arguments are going to be heavily economic. I'll say, like, we should have more immigrants because, bigger input of supplies to our economy is a really good way to grow the overall economy. We want to be competitive in the world, and why would we let Mexico, have all of their good workers and we could steal the best ones and make our economy better. Wouldn't that be better for us? So those would be two things to think about, I guess. And yeah, there's a million more on both of these sides, but be aware of the topics that are outside of your control and what can't change. Be aware of what's in your control and then work with those. And then the two for in your control are be empathetic and then argue from within somebody else's frame of belief, to summarize. Sorry.
That's good. That's a really good way to frame knowing your audience. Yeah, go ahead. When you begin your research process, where's the first place you go?
It super depends on the particular topic. So for Israel, Palestine, that was a big one that I've been researching a lot. For that, I literally just open the Wikipedia of history of Israel, and I'll just run through and read every single thing about that. And then as you come across certain topics, that'll give you like the skeleton. You can flesh it out by if there's important books that people recommend for a particular topic, you can do that. If there are important research papers for a topic, you can start reading that. If there are articles or documentaries and stuff, you can go through that. These are all things that I do for that topic. For right now, the topic I'm supposed to be researching has to do with immigration in the United States. And for that, I literally just, I think I Googled like U.S. immigration system, and I got a big paper by a company that kind of explains and outlines all of the U.S. immigration stuff, and I just read that paper, started taking notes, and then from that skeleton, I might just ask a question. Like I've got a topic on like illegal immigrants and their impact on the economy, so I might just Google like illegal immigrant study fiscal impact, and then just start reading research. And I'm sure in the process of reading research, articles will pop up from The Atlantic, from Vox, from Scientific America, from the Wall Street Journal, whatever, and I'll read through articles. And every time I get like pieces of information that I don't have the answer to, if they reference something I don't know, I'll just Google that and start reading that. The most important thing when you're doing research is in the beginning you just have to be willing to read. There's no shortcut to like just read this source or just read this particular thing. You just have to be willing to sit down and read a bit to develop like the vocabulary and the fluency in that topic to understand the information that you need. If that makes sense. Or in the case of you guys, if you're in college, I guess you have teachers and they can tell you what to read, which is way more helpful than trying to figure it out on your own. But
yeah, I want a t-shirt that says you can't shortcut the reading. That's pretty good. I like that. Who else have their hand up? Yeah.
I guess whenever
Ooh, did you get that one?
how do you approach being proven wrong?
Yeah, that was the question. I guess the first question is, have you ever been proven wrong, Stephen?
Never. When it comes to being proven wrong, there's a little bit logically that you have to think about, but this is going to be mainly an exercise in character and I guess emotional regulation and I guess the composition of yourself. Let me give an example. I think that when I argue certain positions, there are two big things that I try to keep in mind because I want flexibility to move off these in the future if I'm wrong. I don't want to be trapped emotionally because these have become part of like the narrative of the way. So let's say that I believe in, let's say that I think that socialized healthcare is a good thing in the United States. I want a single payer option top down in the United States for our medical system. The way that I would think about this and the way that I would talk about this is I would make two very important cutouts. I would say, I support single-payer healthcare because of a moral end that will never change. So the moral end might be, I support single-payer healthcare because I want the most amount of people in the United States to be covered by insurance and to be able to access affordable care in a hospital, okay? The really important part of that statement is the moral part, not the process. The process doesn't really matter. It's just delivering the moral outcome. What this allows you to do in the future is, if a study or research or whatever comes out, or European countries start switching to multi-payer models en masse, or if they ditch their public options or their single-payer systems altogether, and they say, oh, well, actually, we can deliver better healthcare if we do a fully private system. Well, for me personally, emotionally, my attachment was never to the single payer. My attachment was to the outcome. My attachment is to covering as many people as possible and giving them affordable medical care. So I can actually really easily switch my position there emotionally because I'm not super invested in that position. I'm just invested in the emotional outcome. That's one thing to keep in mind. A second thing to keep in mind is you need to have an appropriate level of conviction for the particular positions that you have. So I might feel very strongly about a particular thing because I've done a lot of reading about it and because it heavily conforms with my moral foundations. So I might say something like, In society, we should never be killing people for no reason. I can say that with a really high level of conviction. Empirically, I don't think systems work where you can kill people with no reasons. And morally, I think that people ought to have the negative freedom of being protected against, murder, basically. But if I were to have another position, like let's say, so personally, I think electric cars are probably important for greenhouse gas emissions in the future. I do think that, but I don't really know that much about it. I haven't done a deep dive study into how much it costs to produce an electric car and if there's more greenhouse gases emitted through all of that and blah, blah, blah. So I might say that, but my conviction there is 30, 40%. So in the future, if it comes out, oh, well, actually people did a ton of research and electric cars are worse for the environment. Oh, okay, well, my conviction for that was really low and I hedged it appropriately so I could back off there. To summarize, when you're proven wrong on things, usually the reasons why people have a hard time changing their mind, assuming the external factors aren't involved, like the social groups or whatever, usually it's because that person is so emotionally invested in that position that it's kind of a part of their character. And saying, hey, your idea is wrong about this particular thing is basically the equivalent to calling somebody fat or stupid or another insult. You're attacking them, you're personally attacking their character, and they can't abide that, so they can't ever change their position on it. Yeah.
Just to reframe this, avoid that emotional impact by trying to find the root axis of ethical beliefs rather than entangling your sort of identity in the material or surface level machinations of how those things operate in the world.
Yeah, I try to, not perfect. There are going to be times where I get emotionally invested in a position for sure, and it happens. But yeah, I just think it's important you have to create personal space to navigate away from things if they end up being incorrect, especially if they're things you have low convictions over. And you need to remember at the end of the day why you care about a particular thing. Nobody cares about rent control because they've got a strong conviction about what the structure of housing finance. So they care about rent control because they don't want people to get kicked out of their apartments. So if rent control ends up being a really shitty mechanism for keeping people in their homes, then you should be able to dump that position incredibly easily because the attachment isn't to the policy, it's to the moral outcome you're attempting to effect with that policy. Yeah. People get really hung up on the policy sometimes, though, and they don't actually care about the outcomes. So when the outcomes end up changing, they still stay stuck on the policy, and then you're not actually, accomplishing what you want.
What up, team?
How did you find your name? Just figure out from thematic standpoint. I know you get to a lot.
How did you choose Destiny as a stream name?
Basically, a long time ago, I was a gamer, yeah. So my initial name was Neo Destiny, I think when I was 16 or something. And I cut the Neo off and I was Destiny, and I started streaming, and my initial foray into streaming was as a professional gamer, so Destiny fit as a game, as a name for a gamer. And then I slowly transitioned into politics in 2016, but I already had all the branding for Destiny. I've got YouTube Destiny, I've got Instagram Destiny, I got TikTok Destiny. So I don't know. It's kind of weird because obviously it's not a very serious name for doing politics, but it works.
Did you have a follow-up there?
Well, mostly because there was a game series by Bungie under the same name moniker.
Oh, the Bungie game series, Destiny?
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah.
I have no association. I'm waiting for it to die so they stop hogging my SEO, but yeah.
Anyone else? I forgot anything? I wondered if you would have a quick conversation with me, or if I could ask you a couple questions. Would that be all right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So specific questions about specific things, for example, how do you, what's your position on the Electoral College?
You're really gonna, as opposed to what, doing a popular vote or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a macro and then a micro, okay? On the macro, I think that for the structure of our government to function, I think it's okay that there are citizens that are disproportionately represented, because I think it's important to represent both citizens in the United States and to represent individual states in the United States. So when you look at something like the Senate, in the Senate, a state is given 2 seats in the Senate, irrespective of the amount of citizens living there. If you look at the House, it's generally more favorable towards larger populous states, more populous states, although it still technically favors per citizen the smaller states because of how the apportionments work. But so something like the Senate and the House divide, I understand, and I'm supportive of that. When you look at the Electoral College, in my mind, I feel like we have enough representation for states in the Senate, and the House is already favoring voters in smaller states more than larger ones, if you look at the per capita apportionment of a representative to a citizen. So I don't know if there's a strong argument for why the Electoral College needs to be structured the way that it is. That being said, changing the structure of the Electoral College would actually probably be pretty difficult. It would probably require a big change to the Constitution, because technically citizens don't vote for president, states vote for president, and that's where the Electoral College kind of comes from. But at the very least, I'd be more in favor of like states, at least states should all split their EC vote up. I think that would be more interesting, but yeah, in general, I wouldn't be against a total reformation of the Electoral College, just because the president is kind of elected by popular vote. That's kind of what people think. But it's just more, it goes towards Electoral College votes, and yeah, but yeah, that's like my micro position on it.
I admit that I was hoping I could find something to disagree with there, but that's kind of my position also.
Wow.
Go ahead. Do you have anything to say?
Gerrymandering of the district with no one wants that.
How do we deal with gerrymandering, and is it a problem, or how big a problem is it?
I mean, I've read a couple of papers on this. Gerrymandering is hard because I think there's no way, like every district, if you want to draw fair districts, they're going to look weird. Like if we were to draw districts naturally or organically, how we feel they might look on a map, conservatives are going to be heavily favored there because I think liberals tend to be more concentrated in the areas that they live in. And if you draw districts with heavy concentration of liberals, if they're like 80-20 split, and if conservative districts tend to be like 60-40 split, then just because of how the math works in a population, you're going to end up always favoring conservatives if you don't draw weird districts. But then when you draw weird districts, people accuse you of gerrymandering. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if districts are even a good way to like do anything. Maybe I just don't know enough on the local level. Like what? Like does a particular politician really represent like a particular district in a state, or are they more representing like the entire state in the House? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like something needs to change with districting, but the answer isn't just like have gerrymandering or get rid of gerrymandering. Like I don't know if districting should even be done at all. I'm not sure. I don't have a strong opinion on it though, because I haven't done like a ton of reading about it.
I once read an article about mathematical distribution of like populations and districts.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, at that point, why district at all? Why not just say like, oh, well, let's just apportion, this number of people and then have the entire state vote on it? I don't know.
Sure. I think the idea is that one representative has a vested interest in a specific area and then answers to those people in that specific area. So, someone who represents a rural district is going to have different interests than someone who represents an urban district potentially. And they want those district leaderships to reflect on some level an ethical or moral stand, or at least
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm curious if that actually, and again, I might not follow politics at a local level enough, but does that actually happen, that like a local, like federal representative, not in your state legislature, but for the federal representatives, do they actually represent the individual districts they come from, or do they tend to vote in line with their state? I don't actually know the answer to that. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either. My suspicion is they are more likely to vote in line with their party than anything else.
Or that's what I mean, like their state and their party. So like, this would be an interesting question. And if we were just like doing this on stream, I would I could Google like how different do the votes tend to be on legislation from people in different districts but in the same party? Like if I were to go to California and I were to Google like California House of Representatives votes by party, and if I were to sort out all the Democrats and all the Republicans, is there actually a lot of inter-party disagreement on both sides, or do they all vote like basically by party on legislation? Maybe they actually do differentiate a lot, so districting is important for that reason, for different geographies to be represented. Yeah, I don't know.
I would suspect not, but I would also be interested in that. My suspicion is that party comes first, because when you want to pass something for your district, you're going to have to ask your party members to vote for that. Yeah. And that sort of like political favor trading is going to be the rule of the land. Good question. What else you got, team? Derek, yeah, go ahead. really big question. I asked for your hot take on the Israel-Palestine conflict currently. I know that Steven's made a ton of content about this recently, but I'm not sure what kind of go you want to give it as an answer.
We can talk about this for hours. Depends on if you want to get boycotted from your university or not.
It's not my answer, it's yours. So
I think the short answer that I would give is I feel like both sides are, unfortunately, through a bunch of really stupid incentives. I think that both sides are heavily incentivized to continue the conflict. I think that as long as the war or as long as violence keeps up from Hamas or any Palestinians at all, I think that it empowers the right in Israel to make excuses to continue the blockade in Gaza and to continue the encroachment on the West Bank for more settlements. I think you just saw, I think Netanyahu just approved, was it another 3,000 settlement buildings expansions, I think in Area C in the West Bank. So the conflict and the continuing of the conflict seems to benefit the far right in Israel in that they get to have an excuse to stay in power and to continue to encroach on Palestinian territory. But then on the other end, it feels like for the Palestinians, it feels like they feel like the conflict benefits them because it gives them a stronger seat at the table, it lets them negotiate or something, and it seems to galvanize a lot of support internationally for their cause, so in the form of like international aid, or right now I guess it's weapons or support from Iran. I think the problem with this equation generally is that while both sides are incentivized to fight, I think that only Israel really gains from the fighting and the Palestinians are continuing to lose. But I think there's a really bad miscalculation internationally where people think that if they just keep cheering on the Palestinians and encouraging them to fight, that at some point something magical is going to flip and happen and all of a sudden they're going to get everything that they've wanted or at least get some sort of like solid deal. And I think right now what needs to happen is I think the Palestinians need a leader that's willing to step up and make some like brave, potentially sacrifice some political popularity for making some decisions to negotiate something real with Israel rather than kind of perpetually continuing the conflict so that nothing actually gets signed or done. And yeah, that's a very rough outline of my position, but yeah.
Yeah. What's the most fun shape to eat?
The most fun shape to eat? I'm trying so hard not to make the wrong shape. I don't know. What are the fun? Probably some candy bar. I would say rectangles because most candy bars are rectangles. That's what I would say. Probably that.
Wow, rectangles is the first.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean that's a first? How many shapes are there to choose from? What are all the?
A lot of people like circle. Circle's a popular one. A lot of people like these cakes.
Wait. What's circle? First of all, circle is a two-dimensional shape. Okay. Although rectangles are too. Okay, but what's a circle? What do you eat as a circle? I'm assuming you mean spheres. So like what? Like pizza, apples?
Like pizzas, cakes, pies. Oranges. Those things are all round. But my counterpoint to that was actually when you eat a pizza, you eat a slice of pizza, which is a triangle. So, and a cake also, perhaps a triangle is a more delicious shape.
Okay, but like steaks are typically more rectangularly shaped. All the candy bars are rectangularly shaped. Lasagna should be shaped like a rectangle. Okay, these are better foods. All right.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. There are a lot of different shapes of pasta. That's true. But a lot of pasta is rectangular shaped, and then dried and twisted while it dries. No, you're right. That's true. Linguine, fettuccine, they're rectangular shaped. Rectangle is a strong one. I like that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Where your sources are repeatedly getting, like your normal sources are getting repeatedly down control.
So the question is, how do you debate from a position where your sources are either really weak or being discredited? Am I hearing that right? Okay.
Well, are they bad sources or is your opponent silly?
Your opponent's being silly.
So philosophically, your notion of like what truth is and how you arrive at truth, there has to be that fundamental agreement on both sides before the conversation can progress. Depending on who you're talking to, you might need to establish that epistemic foundation. You might need to establish that foundation of how we figure out truth before you get into the actual meat or empirics of your argument. So if I'm going to argue with somebody about COVID vaccines, and I know this person is like a huge populist, a huge like far right. I shouldn't be giving political examples, but whatever. If I know that this person doesn't trust the FDA, doesn't trust the CDC, doesn't trust big pharma or any of the academic institutions, I'm not going to have an argument with this guy and start citing, research that's supported by the CDC, the FDA, like or any big pharma or any educational institution, because they're not going to believe it, right? So if you're too far apart, and unfortunately this is the case for a lot of America today, and it's a huge problem, but if there's too big of an epistemic divide between you and the person that you're talking to, it's kind of like trying to argue with somebody suffering schizophrenic delusions about how many people are in the room. You can't, it's impossible, you can't do that. Or if you do it, it has to be through trickery. You've got to appeal in a really roundabout way, in another way of getting to the answer to your argument. So like, let's say let's do the COVID debate. I've used this one sometimes. Let's say for vaccines, somebody's arguing about whether or not the mRNA vaccines did anything or helped at all. If I know that they're very politically different than me and they're not going to agree with any of the sources I use, I'm not even going to bother to cite the research. What I might say instead is, oh, well, if you think the mRNA vaccines are a really huge conspiracy to make Americans in the Western world sick, why isn't she or Putin saying anything about this? Why is it that countries that hate America, that have every incentive to call out how horrible this vaccine is and how much it's poisonous, why aren't they making public statements about that? Because that's kind of, I guess, this goes back earlier to my argument of work within somebody else's bubble. I would try to work within their conspiratorial, I'm being very loaded here. I would work within their bubble of how they explain the world, and I would try to point them in that direction and say, oh, well, if you don't believe that the companies here are being truthful, why would you believe Russia? Or why would you believe China? If you believe they're being truthful, why wouldn't they call out the vaccine? That would be how I would try to work that. But you're getting into like very weird territory there, and if you're not super adept at navigating weird territory like that, you might get caught in even dumber conspiracies. Like, oh, well, didn't you know that Russia and China are also part of like the global government to force vaccines down our throats? Like everybody gets something out of it. It's like, okay, well, whatever, I guess, yeah. So yeah, that's the only way you could do it. But you have to establish some epistemic similarity to a person you're arguing with. Can we agree on sources? Can we agree what a good source looks like? Can we agree on like who we can share for resources? If you can't agree on that, then it's hard to have a reasonable conversation.
That's well said. The foundation of this class is the idea that a lot of the problems we are facing in contemporary and America and the world in general stem from the fact that we can't agree on basic, fundamental, epistemological or otherwise foundations of reality. Right? We don't have a shared reality, or that shared reality is fraying. Yeah. Because of so much disinformation and misinformation. And so we're partially about trying to figure out how we can approach those things in this class. So thanks for saying that. That's pretty helpful.
Yeah. Go
ahead.
I was going to say it's important when you talk about that, though. An epistemic foundation isn't going to be like, do cops kill black people for no reason, right? The epistemic foundation, that's way down the road of like the really fundamental questions you have to ask are, hey, like, how do we figure out how truthful a particular thing is? What type of a source would we trust? What type of research is good research? What are good questions to ask when you're researching something? What are good methodologies to ensure that we're arriving at a truthful conclusion? Those are the epistemic foundations that you have to build. Because some people will say a lot of the things that I'm saying, like, oh yeah, we have to live in a shared reality. And rather than talking about a system of tools that you might use to ascertain the validity of a belief system, people are like, we have to be in a shared reality. We all need to use common sense. And here are 10 like fifth order abstracted beliefs that you have to believe in, otherwise you're delusional. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, you begged away the entire difficult question, and now I just have to agree with all your applied position. We're not even talking about epistemology. We're way off into something different at that point, yeah.
I just want to say that I did not pay Stephen to say that, and I did not prompt him, right? That was totally of his own.
Wait, why? Is there something you say in class, or?
Yes, that's like my first 3 classes. I just said all of those things that you just said.
Nice job. All right.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Putting that on paper, whether or not to eventually go to.
Yeah, so a lot of the student is asking that a lot of the things that you've said so far in terms of suggestions and techniques seem to be more applicable to speaking in real time to someone, whereas they have to write papers. So are there different techniques that you might use